Hello and welcome to Potterwatch from Page to Screen, Episode 7. I'm Elizabeth.
And I'm Lucy.
Today we'll be starting off our series of special episodes. We'll be doing this every 7th episode, since 7 is such a magical number.
Ooh,
So I don't know why I said it like that. Magical.
Magical. It's just so magical. It takes control.
Yeah.
This time we'll be talking about all the Hogwarts. We'll be talking about all about Hogwarts and all of its founders. All 4 of them. But before we begin, let's have our questions from the Sorting Hat. Today, Elizabeth will be asking the Harry Potter question, and I'll have one that is completely random.
So I guess you should go first.
Yeah. Okay, so mine for today is, would you rather never leave the UK or leave and never be able to return?
Oh my word. This is really hard because... for those of you who don't know, my husband's family is in Switzerland. So my daughter is a dual citizen. So if I choose, it's like I have to choose one family over the other.
Yeah.
I don't know, but I think I would probably choose Roman's family because my family isn't like... We've never, how do I put this nicely? We've never been the kind of family who's like desperate to see each other every 5 seconds. You know, we're okay with seeing each other once a year, whereas Roman's family is a bit more like close.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they come over here. Roman's sisters and brother come over here well, not a lot, but they come over here once a year, and then we go over there once a year. To see them all, and we all get together. So I feel like although my family would be super upset, I think they would be more upset. I don't know, you can't really test how much.
A bit of a...
It's an awkward question for me. But yes, probably I think, you know, the only family member that I can see listening to this podcast is my mum, and I think my mum would possibly agree with me. I don't know. Yeah, because she's okay with just calling. Obviously she'd be devastated not to see us ever again.
But she could always leave the country to visit.
Oh yeah, that's true. I didn't...
people could still visit you. You just wouldn't be able to visit them.
Oh, okay, yeah. I didn't realize. So yeah, maybe I'd do it the other way around, because Roman's family have a lot more able to come over here.
That's true.
Whereas even though I live in the same country as all of my family, neither of my brothers, their situations at the moment, they're in great situations at the moment, but they're just not, they're not very able to travel long distances, and we live quite far away in the country from them. So yeah, maybe I'd choose stay in England then. I like England. There's a lot to explore in
That's true.
Do you mean would we not be able to go into Scotland or Wales?
Oh, well, I said UK.
Oh, okay.
So you can stay in...
Oh, we could even fly to Ireland.
Britain and Northern Ireland, yeah. Yeah.
Sorry, I've just been rambling on. Yes, I think I'd pick England. That would be my answer. Yeah.
Yeah, once again, I have asked this question and I haven't really thought about it before asking it. The thing is, if I could never come back to the UK, I would miss so many places.
Yeah.
Obviously I'd miss so many people, but I'd just miss so many places.
Yeah, that is... I just realised in saying that, I would never be able to go to Japan again.
Mm-hmm.
I would never be able to visit... Yeah, I've always wanted to go to Canada. I always say Canada. Canada. I've always wanted to go to Hawaii and other places in Asia.
Yeah,
I think
I think I would definitely, because I could always, if I was ever feeling really homesick and miss people, I could just live near to the UK.
That's true.
Technically, I could live in Ireland, but yeah, I definitely would say never return because. The world's just so big, and
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I guess.
But I would miss a lot of people.
Yeah.
And I do have some family out of the UK. Obviously, most of it's in the UK.
Yeah.
But there are still people I could visit.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think I'd never come back because I couldn't imagine staying in... I mean, loads of people never leave the country. I hadn't left the country until I moved out of the country.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't think I could.
I hadn't
stay here
left
forever.
this island, the UK. I've
Mhm.
never been to Ireland, but yeah, I hadn't left the UK until I was 14, I think, 13 or 14, and that was to go to France on a really rubbish history trip, which is really sad because France is such a nice country, but it was a really rubbish trip. Yeah, that's true. I think I'll probably change my answer if I can.
Yeah.
I agree
Go
with
on.
you that to pick one country over the rest
Over
of the world.
every single other, yeah.
Yeah, I don't think I'd be able to pick any country
No.
over not being able to visit anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, true. But that means I don't know, it's hard for me because that means
Yeah.
that it would be really hard for my family to come and visit us.
Right.
But I mean, life goes on, doesn't it? I guess they just have to find a way.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Well, that was an interesting question. Shall I ask mine?
Yeah, go on.
Sorry,
Harry
I
Potter question.
I feel like I really dominated that, that answer.
Well, I guess that's more that, like, for me, especially being, like, younger, I'm just like, ooh, I want to go to a nice hot country. It's like, whereas you have more commitment to this country, I guess, in a
That's
weird
true,
way.
yeah. Yeah, okay, that's true. You're making me feel a lot better about talking so much. Okay. Oh, it's a bit of a boring one.
Oh.
What's your favourite piece of Harry Potter merchandise?
Oh,
Doesn't necessarily have to be one that you've bought.
one that I have. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean,
And it doesn't
I do
necessarily
really-
have to be official merchandise either.
okay. Oh, all right. I do really want a cloak. I can't lie. I really
Yeah,
want a cloak. But when would I
Yeah.
wear a cloak
I know.
besides, like, going to the studio tour?
Yeah, or like Comic Con or something, or
Yeah.
Leaky Con if we
And
ever
they're
go.
so expensive.
They are so expensive. Yeah.
I would say well, because I was also then just thinking I love the Quidditch jumpers. I feel like I really like the clothes.
Mm-hmm.
All the
Yeah, I
Harry
like the
Potter
clothes too.
clothes.
I do agree, like all the clothes are so
Yeah.
nice. I love special clothing in general.
Yeah, me too. More specifically, I guess I do really also I love collecting chocolate frog cards, and I
Yes.
love that they've now, because it used to be four founders. It used to be the four founders and Dumbledore,
Yeah.
which is a bit boring.
Yeah.
But now they've kind of expanded, and
Yeah.
I just it's really clever because now I want to buy them all.
Yeah.
Um,
That's like whenever we go to the studio tour, we always say like we've set aside £10 and then some other money. So it's
Yeah.
£10 for a chocolate frog, which by the way sounds like a lot, but I honestly
pretty
think it's
big.
worth it because they're huge and they're like solid
Although I don't
chocolate.
eat them.
I don't get why you don't eat them.
I've
Next
never
time you
eaten
buy
a
one,
chocolate
you
frog.
have to give it to me because I really
Yes,
like the
no,
chocolate.
I will, because even the one, so I had a chocolate frog birthday cake for my 17th birthday,
Yeah.
and the chocolate frog that was on top of my birthday cake, I don't know what it
didn't
is.
eat
I
it?
took it off and I don't know.
Maybe the solidness of the chocolate is just a bit
It's a
intimidating.
bit intimidating. Yeah. I think
Whereas
maybe
I'm
that's
just
it.
like, nom, nom, nom.
Yeah. Well, the first time I didn't eat it because I was like, oh, I want to save it. Which is why I
Right.
said my favourite merchandise is the cards and not just chocolate
Oh,
frogs.
yeah, well,
because,
yeah, I mean, chocolate frog,
yeah,
it's
not really
food.
merchandise.
Yeah. Although I do really like, I usually get a chocolate frog and a different piece of food because I really like the
Food,
packaging.
The packaging is super cool.
Yeah. Yeah. But I don't know about one that I own. I really like, I've got a Chudley Cannons flag.
Oh, I completely forgot. My favourite is my Holyhead Harpies flag.
Oh, nice.
Because
Nice.
I don't think they really do them
No,
anymore.
I don't know what happened with that.
I can't find any Holyhead Harpies stuff. It's all
Yeah.
Chudley Cannons.
Yeah.
And
the
I
Holyhead Harpy stuff is such a nice aesthetic as well.
yeah.
Chudley
and I just
Cannons
love
is
the
so
Harpies.
like loud.
Yeah. It's very Weasley
Yeah.
based, really.
Mhm.
Holyhead I'm a big big Harpies fan, yeah.
Me too. Me
And
too.
I love that it feels like something from Harry Potter rather than like something. I don't know. Does that?
It feels a bit
It feels like
more
it's
like,
real,
yeah, from the
like a
universe rather
prop.
than
It feels
getting
like a
like
prop.
Harry's glasses.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, because then
Yeah.
it's like solidifying, no, he's not a real person.
Yeah. Exactly.
Although maybe little wizarding children do wear Harry glasses. You
That's
never
true,
know.
actually,
He's a
because there
celebrity.
probably is Harry Potter merchandise within Harry Potter.
Yeah.
Like there's Harry Potter Day, don't they have that? Oh no,
Do they?
in the first book they talk about like
I
children
wouldn't
will
be
probably
surprised. Yeah.
children will call this Harry Potter Day. I don't know
Yeah.
if that actually happens,
Yeah.
but that's mentioned.
Yeah. Yeah, so I do like my Chudley Cannons thing.
Hmm.
But yeah, I think I agree with you. The chocolate frog cards are really cool. And they're the only ones that I really relish getting. Like, and I'm like,
Yeah.
I will use this, I will keep
Yeah.
this. Whereas a lot of the other stuff, I mean, my chocolate frog cards are actually in a cupboard, in a box. But I know that I'll get them out and have a look at them because they're so small.
Mine are stuck on my wall in a row. I've got
Yeah.
like gaps so that I can continue to
Nice.
collect them. Yeah.
Nice. Are they in a shape that you can like do them?
No, it's really
Ah,
annoying
like
because
tiles.
they're pentagons.
Yeah.
And if they'd
Oh.
have been like
Hexagon.
hexagons and pentagons, like a football,
Yeah.
but that wouldn't make any sense.
No.
But no, they don't all slot together.
Oh, that's annoying.
Yeah, it is
Yeah.
really annoying.
But it's cool. I was disappointed at first when I saw how big they were because it's not like, I was like, it's not like the movies, but it just feels a lot more special having a big thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And it means they can have an excuse to make it really
Make it
expensive.
expensive. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure the price difference between a smaller chocolate frog and card and a bigger chocolate frog isn't actually that much.
Yeah.
But by having it bigger, you can be like, oh yeah, it's kind of worth it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's probably only worth it because we're obsessed.
Yes. Yeah. It's really not worth it.
Yeah.
Well, it's worth it for the pure joy that it inspires in us.
Yeah. Okay, so I think we've answered those questions the best we can. So now we'll be talking, as I said, about the Hogwarts founders and Hogwarts Castle itself, and we'll be
Lovely.
starting off with Lucy telling
With
us
the best
about,
founder.
yeah, Helga Hufflepuff. Woo-hoo.
Yeah, woo woo. Represent. Yes. So Helga Hufflepuff valued loyalty and fair play, which obviously are the traits of her house, Hufflepuff. The animal of her house is a badger, which lives quietly until attacked, but has been known to fight off animals much larger than itself, including wolves.
It's so cool.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Apparently, she is the founder responsible for giving house elves jobs in the kitchens, which gave them somewhere to work where they would be treated fairly and not straight up abused like usual.
Yeah. I feel like Hermione needs to know this information.
Yeah. It's like Hermione, like they're doing okay.
Yeah.
She was also very good at food-related charms, the best kind of charms. That's all you really need.
Yeah.
Her recipes are still used by Hogwarts for their feasts, which is just incredible. That makes me so proud to be a Hufflepuff.
Yeah, same. Like, you know, part of the thing that you say that you miss when you leave home is like, oh, you know, I really miss my mum's cooking, or you know, and I feel like that's another thing that makes Hogwarts so special is that they always have such special food. And I feel like someone
very
like
homey food.
Yeah, I imagine Helga to be a kind of Mrs. Weasley kind of figure.
Yes, I was just about to say, she really reminds me of Mrs. Weasley.
Yeah, so yeah, I really like that they still use hers. Although I hope that they have like some newer food.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, true. And then the item, I suppose, what would you call, like they all have a kind of right. Well,
I guess
they all have like a
they all have a special
a special thing.
Yeah.
It kind of reminds me of oh, you know what, we can get into that later, but it kind of reminds me of in Narnia when they all have their, I guess Peter and Edmund just have swords, but like they all kind of have their special little thing. Basically, they all have special little object, and Helga's was the cup. And am I right in saying that all but the sword, all of their items were all Horcruxes?
Yeah, I think
apart
so.
From the sword.
Yeah.
Why didn't Tom Riddle turn the sword into a Horcrux? Was it just because he hated Gryffindor?
I think maybe that would be part of it, but I think also it would probably be that maybe that would be one of the last things that he would have done, and
True.
Maybe he knows that it's got venom in it now, or maybe he's even tried
Well, I just thought, because I was obviously thinking about the fact it has venom in it later on.
It's
there's
in
the whole
Bellatrix's
thing
vault,
about
isn't
it only takes in that which makes it stronger.
Yeah.
So I guess if you try to turn it into a Horcrux, it wouldn't take that in because that wouldn't make it stronger.
Wouldn't it?
Does that make sense? I don't think so. Because it's... Well, I mean, that's the big question, isn't it? I don't think so. I think I imagine it would almost kind of corrupt
taint it. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's true. Yeah.
Especially if it's
and isn't the
Gryffindor's
sword in Bellatrix's vault? So I feel like he does probably try, but it probably, as you say, it kind of, the sword rejects it.
Oh no. Oh, the real sword is in her vault.
And the cup or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, I believe
the fake is the Hogwarts sword.
And then Snape. Oh, it's really messy.
Or is the one in her vault a fake?
I don't know.
I'm like thinking of the quote. There is a sword in Madame Lestrange's vault,
but that's not the real one.
But it's a fake.
I don't know.
Or is that? Anyway.
I don't know.
Yeah, she has a cup. Basically, that's
she has a
that's
cup.
What we're saying.
She has
nice little cup.
Helga Hufflepuff has a nice cup.
Since we're talking about film book differences,
mm-hmm.
Probably not so much in this episode, but we'll
yeah, we can do
have
that.
little
bits and pieces
additions. Yeah. The cup in the film is tiny.
It is, yeah.
I thought when I read it, I imagined it big,
like the
kind of trophy size. Yeah. But golden.
I imagined it very small, actually. I imagined it like that as well, because isn't that the one with Hepzibah Smith? Is that the one?
Yeah, maybe.
And she asks her house elf Hoki, I think it is, to bring it over, and she brings it over on her head on a silver platter or something. And so I was like, I just couldn't imagine a tiny little house elf being able to carry that heavy thing. Although house elves can literally do anything their master asks them to do.
Yeah.
But that's interesting you say that, because I did envision the cut in the movie.
See, initially I imagined it because I read Harry Potter quite young. Initially I read cup and I thought like drinking cup. So I imagined it. I was thinking like a goblet.
Right.
Like a little gold goblet.
Right.
And then obviously I realised it's not that kind of cup.
Yeah. I guess trophy, it is in a way a kind of trophy, isn't it? Because you don't drink out of it.
Yeah. It's just
an heirloom,
you get at school. Yeah.
So I mean, it could be big. I don't know. Maybe.
I don't know if it ever really specifies in the book.
Yeah, I don't know.
But obviously in the film, it's pretty small.
Yeah, we'll get to that in 10 years.
Yeah. So then we have a few of the famous witches and wizards who came from Hufflepuff. We have Newt Scamander.
Oh yeah.
Who's obviously pretty cool guy.
Yeah.
Nymphadora Tonks, also very cool.
Yeah.
Cedric Diggory, one of my favourite Harry Potter characters actually.
Yes,
I really love
me
Cedric.
Too. R.I.P.
Yeah. Well, Grogan Stump, one of the most popular ministers for magic of all time. Bridget Wenlock, who was a famous 13th century arithmancer who first discovered the magical properties of the number 7. That's a pretty big deal, if I do say so myself as a Hufflepuff.
And that's cool. I didn't realise that the connection between us doing the 7th episode. That's cool.
Yeah, I didn't think of that.
Yeah.
And then Hengist of Woodcroft, who founded the all-wizarding village of Hogsmeade, which lies very close to Hogwarts School.
I loved finding that out. That was so cool.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Ravenclaws, apparently, have been known to claim that some of these people are from their house.
Yeah, so when I was researching this is all from the Wizarding World website. From when, like, so when you do the Hogwarts house test, it comes up with like your prefect, and he or she is like, hello, I'm your prefect. Let me tell you all about our house and why it's the best, basically.
Yeah.
And he says this, and whoever he is, I can't remember what his name is, but he's like, oh yeah, you know, me and a Ravenclaw got into a duel about one of these people, and he actually got a detention, but in secret, Professor Sprout was like giving him some butterbeer and like congratulating him, basically. I don't know whether it was butterbeer, but like she gave him a treat.
Yeah.
for defending the good name.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was that.
Oh, I love Sprout.
Those things are visible to everyone, and they're really interesting for anyone who wants to learn more about the houses. But obviously, we're going to go through a lot of them, so you should just listen to our episode. So carry on listening.
Yeah. Speaking of, Professor Sprout is the head of Hufflepuff House, who teaches oh my gosh, what herbology. Such a fake Hufflepuff.
That always happens to me.
Yeah. They're weird names, okay? Like, just call it gardening. Anyway.
It's not gardening.
It's magic gardening. Like,
you can't call it magic gardening.
But that's what it is. It's magic gardening.
It
is. The ghost of Hufflepuff is the Fat Friar, and he still resents that he was never made a cardinal. Is that how you say it? What is a cardinal?
I don't actually know. Let me find out.
I guess it's like higher up than Friar in some form.
Yeah. I never really... I thought he was like a fry cook or something. Or like that was like his last name or something. But I guess it is Fat Friar. A cardinal... That's really stupid of me. I didn't realise. Yeah, it's to do with the Catholic Church. So... a cardinal.
Wait, what? Hang on. What did you think?
I thought either that was like his name, like he was like called like Desmond Friar or something. Whatever his first name is, I thought that was his last name, or that he was like literally working in kitchens because of like Hufflepuff's relation to food.
Fat Friar. That's amazing.
But I forgot that friar is like a religious thing.
Yeah.
So cardinal
That's hilarious.
Is a leading well, I don't know. I have a simple mind, I guess.
No, I've just got an image of the Fat Friar like helping out the house elves, throwing some eggs.
Yeah. Okay, so a cardinal is leading bishop and prince of the College of Cardinals in the Catholic Church.
Okay. So it's like it's more important than friar.
Yeah, so I'm going to look up friar. So yeah, he belongs to the Catholic Church, and a friar is similar to a monk. They are devoted to a religious life, and the difference is that a friar lives and works among regular people in society.
Okay.
Right.
I just think of the one from Romeo and Juliet. Nice. All right.
There you go.
Cool. Great.
I had no idea that the Fat Friar was religious.
Why did you think he was dressed like a monk in the movies?
I never noticed that.
Really?
No, I never noticed. I don't really look at things like that, and the ghosts, he comes by so quickly and you don't really see him. And because I never made the connection, I guess I wasn't looking for that. Yeah. And I saw the first movie. To be fair to me, I saw the first movie when I was very young.
Okay, yeah.
So...
To be fair, you did think that Hagrid told Harry he was a lemon. So, I mean, you know,
this is true.
You know, it's not really that surprising. And Another great quality of Hufflepuff House is that they have produced the least amount of dark wizards.
Oh, yeah.
It's pretty good. It's good to know.
It's interesting that it says least amount and not none at all.
None. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think that's quite
a misconception.
Good. That's good to note because everyone always says all dark wizards are from Slytherin.
Yeah,
and it gives them a
plenty
really bad
of
reputation.
dark wizards come from the other houses as well.
Yeah, it's just that the most in the film, does Ron say there wasn't a
dark wizard that
there
went
wasn't a
bad,
witch or wizard that went bad
that wasn't
from
in
Slytherin?
Yeah, which is
that's
just
not in the book,
false.
is it? That's incorrect. Sorry, Ron.
Yeah, it's probably just him being a 12-year-old.
Yeah,
and having a stigma of Slytherin.
Is that also in the book, or is that just a film thing?
I'm not sure. I don't think it's in the book.
Okay, yeah, I don't remember it from the book, so that might just be another way of them to go, oh,
Slytherin's bad,
Gryffindor good, yeah.
Yeah.
There are, speaking of reputation, there are rumours that Hufflepuff is the least clever house, and this is false.
Yeah.
Hufflepuffs are just the least boastful.
Oh, yeah.
We're just so humble. The Hufflepuff common room has never been seen by an outsider. Good, because they don't deserve it, because the Hufflepuff common room is exquisite.
It's literally Hobbiton.
Yes, I never thought about that.
And I full on think, I really think that J.K. Rowling was like, you know what would be good? if I got some Lord of the Rings into this book. I think she probably liked Lord of the Rings quite a lot. Because my mum, she's been doing some research about this actually, and she has said a number of times to me in the last few weeks that she has seen some evidence of J.K. Rowling reading Lord of the Rings. Mm-hmm. I can't remember what she said to me specifically, but yeah.
Mm-hmm. It is the coziest common room of them all. It is round and earthy, and it has low ceilings. Or a low ceiling, I guess, anyway.
Yeah.
It always feels sunny, and its circular windows have a view of rippling grass and dandelions.
I love that.
I don't know if that would make me feel a little bit claustrophobic, though. Like, not having big... Well, it says it always feels sunny, but...
Yeah, that's nice.
I don't know. Yeah, that is very nice.
I hope it means, like, in the daytime.
Yeah.
Imagine coming in, like sneaking out
midnight.
Yeah, for like a little midnight walk, and then coming in at like 1 a.m. and it's just going bam with like glaring sun, and you're like, how long have I been out?
Yeah. There's a lot of burnished copper about the place, and many plants which either hang from the ceiling or sit on the windowsills. Oh, that just sounds so nice. Hufflepuffs sleep well because they are protected from storms and wind, unlike the houses that are situated in the towers. I had never thought about that until doing this episode, and
me too.
That's very nice.
Yeah. Okay, so that's enough about the best house of them all. Now we go on to another great house that me and Lucy both relate to quite a lot. So this is Salazar Slytherin's house. So Salazar Slytherin valued being sly and cunning. His biggest thing was that he built the Chamber of Secrets.
Yeah, his claim to fame, if you will.
Yeah.
Founded Hogwarts, built the Chamber of Secrets.
Yeah.
Just the basic stuff.
I wanted to go into this a little bit. Hello, this is Elizabeth.
And Lucy.
From the future. Just to let you know that for the next few minutes we'll briefly be discussing themes from the Second World War. So if you don't feel comfortable listening to that, then please skip ahead to the time that's written in the description below.
And we'll see you in a few minutes, or I guess you'll hear us.
Bye!
Bye!
I wanted to have a little thing about this, and I wrote a lot about this, and it's kind of an awkward topic, right? Because J.K. Rowling wrote these characters, Slytherin, Voldemort, Grindelwald, to name a few, to be kind of parallels to Hitler and a number of other
Yeah, dictators in
Yeah,
general,
dictators in
I
general, yeah. So you can't really talk about this without talking about Hitler prominently.
guess. Yeah,
I want to do this in the nicest way possible, and not in
yeah,
nice.
most enjoyable to listen
Yeah,
to.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, but obviously, I wanted to just do a disclaimer and say, first of all, that obviously what he did was wrong. And what,
Duh, yeah.
yeah, and what people that can be compared to him did was
And what
wrong.
people are still doing.
Still doing was wrong. So, you know, people like Voldemort, Umbridge, Grindelwald, and a number of people in the real world who I won't mention. I am mentioning Hitler because obviously he's the main one that J.K. Rowling really wanted to relate Voldemort to in particular, and Grindelwald. So he's the one that I'll be mentioning, unfortunately. But I do find it kind of interesting on a purely intellectual level, to kind of look into the reason behind why people do things like this. And again, I want to note that I said I find it interesting and not enjoyable.
Yeah.
I'm very much using the word interesting here as negatively as possible, just to clarify. I both, you know, as I say, find it interesting to talk about this, and I am like kind of nervous talking about this because I don't want people to like take me the wrong way. So I hope with that little clarification that people won't take me the wrong way. And I'll say again, like, no reason, no matter how you look at it, can justify doing what these people did, fictional or not. But yeah, and I'm just going to go through this quickly because I'm sure we'll probably talk about it more in other episodes, because we haven't even met Voldemort yet. So yeah, I'm just going to go through them quickly. So Voldemort, like the very nature of his birth basically set him up as a loveless person. His introduction, so his birth was, he was born basically, he was conceived through a love potion. His introduction to Muggles was his father, who was someone who was forced into this. He didn't want to be with his mother at all. So naturally, Voldemort hated his father, and that caused a chain of events to make Voldemort the person that we know him today. And then obviously we're comparing this to Hitler. So obviously there's a lot more that goes on in Hitler's life apart from this, but I'm doing a very, very, very condensed, simplified version. Just to clarify again, I don't want people to get the wrong idea. So one big thing with Hitler was that he loved the arts, like he loved painting, and he really particularly loved like realistic artwork. And he kind of deemed that to be like the only really like worthwhile way of painting. But so he wanted to get into a number of schools, and there was one school in particular that I actually can't remember the name of now, but I didn't write this down stupidly enough. But he wasn't allowed in, and he found out that a number of people were allowed in, and a number of those people unfortunately were Jews. And they were favouring at the time like very modern like abstract art. And again, this is a very condensed version. Obviously, there are a lot more things going on at this point in Hitler's life. But obviously, that was one thing that added to his chain of events. So the interesting thing about the others that I mentioned in fictional, I don't want to talk about more people in real life because it's just so risky. I don't like talking about, you know, Hitler is very risky to talk about, and I don't want to like add to that. I hope that was okay with people. So the interesting thing about the other fictional characters that I mentioned, so like Umbridge and Grindelwald and Salazar, is that we don't really know what kind of things started the chain of events with these people. So we have no idea what was going through Salazar Slytherin's mind to make him create the Chamber of Secrets, and I find that quite interesting. The only thing we don't know is that he didn't trust Muggles, and one might even go as far as to say he feared them in some way.
Yeah, I would say that he was scared of them.
Yeah.
Almost like he just didn't understand how people could live in a different way to him, I guess.
Yeah, I guess so. And I thought this was kind of very much like racism, which stems from, oh, that's different. I don't like things are different. That I don't like things that are different, sorry.
Yes.
And it's a thought process that starts a lot of bullying at school and work and worse things. Perhaps excuse Salazar if he like merely had a disagreement with the others and started a pure blood only school. Like I'd be like, yeah, you do you, that's fine. That way he like just keeps his views to himself, but he stayed with the school, thus being able to go as far as potentially eradicating future generations of Muggle-born wizards, which is obviously wrong.
Not good. Yeah.
Obviously, this is a flaw in these people. Like everyone questions things. Like everyone has strange opinions at some point that they later regret. Like so, obviously, Dumbledore is a prime example in the Harry Potter universe. Of someone who had thoughts and ideals that he later regrets.
Yeah.
But obviously, like the people that I've mentioned not only think these things, they not only stick to those thoughts, they not only force their opinions onto others, but they also use violence to enforce their opinions. And in my opinion, the only thing in that little list that is forgivable, I guess, is the first one, is like having an initial thought.
Yeah, because people's views change the more they're educated and the more they are exposed to new things.
Yeah, and I have like weird thoughts all the time, and I think like it's fine to have like that initial like, ooh, you know, if you see someone who's different, who you don't really understand, and you kind of have a judgmental thought about them, but then you have another voice like, don't think that, I shouldn't think that, and I think that's the voice that you listen to.
Yes, and about being willing to learn and willing to kind of change how you think about it.
Exactly, and this is the flaw in like the people that I've mentioned, that they are not willing to change and grow, and they just kind of stick with their thoughts and like go as far as to murder people, to I don't know why I'm like chuckling slightly as I say that.
No, it's just it's an uncomfortable thing to talk about, but it's something that needs to be talked about.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, that was my little essay on Salazar Slytherin, I guess. I hope I did that okay. His Horcrux is the locket, which we know is an heirloom. Obviously, they're all heirlooms, but I think this one is the most trackable one with like the Gaunt family, and we have a lot of like time with the locket, so I won't really go into that because that'll be in the 7th book quite a lot. Slytherin himself was a Parselmouth, which is a very rare skill that you can speak to snakes. So I guess that's why.
Ring any bell?
He was very skilled at legilimency, according to the wiki. So I don't know whether that's like an official thing, but I thought that was quite interesting. He came from a fen, which is from the one of the Sorting Hat songs, which I looked that up, and that's like a low marshy place, and it's frequently flooded. So sorry Salazar. That's a bit unfortunate. The only like really famous wizard that we have from Slytherin, other than people that we'll talk about a lot, is Merlin. That's quite cool.
I think when you were still brainwashed into thinking that Slytherin was bad, and I'd been sorted into Slytherin along with, you know, I've done the test way too many times, and I was like, but Merlin's from Slytherin, and Merlin isn't a bad guy, is he? So I think that's pretty cool that they've got. I
think that's probably like one of those things that J.K. Rowling added because like you know, along with Hufflepuff to make Hufflepuff cooler, I think she adds a lot of things to make Slytherins nicer.
Because Merlin is like outside of Harry Potter the most famous wizard.
I think he actually existed, didn't he? He might not have been a wizard.
Or maybe
there were...
I think it was one of those things like Robin Hood, like did he, didn't he, like, you know, was it a different name, like...
Yeah, true.
I think he did exist though, Merlin.
Yeah.
I think so.
I probably should have looked that up. Oh well. We also have
Google. You can
yeah.
do it yourself.
Yeah. We have the serpent for Slytherin, which in the little prefect welcome speech is the wisest of creatures, sleek, powerful, and misunderstood. Which I really like because I love snakes.
Yes, me too.
Have you ever held a snake?
Yeah. Oh,
They're really soft.
Yeah.
It's like, I always imagine snakes to be really slippery and slimy, yeah?
Yeah.
But they're like velvet.
They're kind of cuddly. Yes. That's really perfect.
Oh, thank you. Like, you don't get wet from touching them, but they're also so smooth.
Yeah.
It's really nice to
And you can kind of
them.
feel all their muscles like moving.
Yeah, and that sounds really creepy, but it's nice.
But it's just, you're kind of in awe of them. They just feel really powerful.
Yeah. Which, I can understand why people are scared of snakes because, like, muscles are powerful and they're basically one massive muscle. And personally, like, if I was to, like, come up to a snake in the wild, even in a cage, I'd be scared, but I do like snakes.
Yeah. That's true, yeah. If I met one that wasn't, like, a pet, I'd be a bit like, oh.
Yeah.
It's a snake.
Yeah.
Unless it was, like, in the UK, because I know snakes in the UK can't hurt me.
Yeah.
Oh, have I told you this before? I went to a sleepover at a friend's house, and she said I could pick a movie, and I was like, okay, we're watching Harry Potter. And it was when I was only watching the second one, just every single time I could watch a film. And I didn't know that she had a really huge fear of spiders and snakes.
Oh no! That's the worst movie you could have.
I know.
Apart from maybe snakes on a plane.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I did feel a little bit bad, but I didn't feel that bad because I wanted to watch the movie.
That's your Slytherin side coming through.
Yeah, exactly.
We're watching this movie.
Yeah.
The Slytherin Common Room. So we've seen the Slytherin Common Room, but it's described on the Wizarding World website as it's described as looking out into the depths of the Hogwarts Lake. And it says, we often see the giant squid swooshing by and sometimes more interesting creatures. I mean, what's more interesting than the giant squid?
If that's where the bar is set, a giant squid. What?
Yeah, exactly. I guess, like, maybe they thought they can see more people.
Or even just, like, grindelows. Well, I wouldn't say they're more...
if a Slytherin was picked for the Triwizard tournament, they'd be amazing at the second test.
That's so true. Yeah.
There's a bit of writing actually about like loads of people coming together to do like a theory of what it would be like if somebody from Slytherin was picked. I think it was Zabini. No.
Yeah. Or maybe I've probably just seen it around.
I don't think it is for Zabini actually, but it's really
the
nice.
one I've seen was definitely Blaze Zabini, as I say.
Yeah, but that's really cool. That's a really cool little bit of writing. I'll put that to try and find it. Yeah, if we can find it, we'll put it in.
There are probably various
probably
things that have been written.
My one is like, it always says like imagine.
Yeah.
So we're probably thinking the same one.
Yeah, probably. I've just seen like little ones on Instagram and stuff.
Yeah.
Or like Tumblr, screenshots from Tumblr.
This is from Tumblr, the one that I've seen, and it's like lots of people like coming together to add it.
Yes, yeah.
Anyway. And then it says, we like to feel that our hangout has the aura of a mysterious underwater shipwreck, which both
cool.
terrifies me and I really like it at the same time. I really don't like the feeling of, I don't think I'd like the feeling of being in the ocean, like as a scuba diver or something, like swimming in the ocean, because the ocean, seeing images of the ocean just make me feel very intimidated.
Sure, yeah.
And I feel like the lake is probably so huge that it would make me feel really uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Although maybe it would help you like get over that fear.
True, get over it. I'm pretty good with large expanses of water. It's waves that I don't like. So I'm fine. I'm fine with a wall of water. You know what? I do really want to go swimming with sharks. I
Really?
really do. I love sharks so much. Used to,
That would freak me
great
out.
white sharks used to be my favourite animal.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Uh,
Anyway,
what's your favourite animal now?
okay, it was a velociraptor.
Oh yeah,
And
you
then I
said.
found out that they're tiny, and now I just don't know. I guess it maybe still is a velociraptor, but they're just so small.
Yeah,
I don't
I
know.
remember you saying that when we talked
Yeah.
last week.
Yeah.
Anyway, so the house ghost of Slytherin is the Bloody Baron, which we've talked about his story before.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to know that, why haven't you listened to our other episodes? Come on, get it together. And who apparently doesn't like being asked why he's bloodstained.
Which is understandable.
Yes, true. I was like, that's interesting,
remember-
but yeah, it's really understandable.
Yeah. It's just a nice one of those things that's like, oh yeah, he doesn't like, yeah, don't ask him why he's got all those bloodstains, and it's just like, oh yeah, okay, and you kind of forget about it, and then it randomly just comes back at the end, and it's like, whoa, okay, yeah, I won't ask.
Yeah. The password to the common room, so the Slytherin common room, changes every single fortnight. And in the Wizarding World thing, I just remembered this as I read that. You like have to check on the notice board in the house common room to see the new password, which I would be terrible at that. I have the world's worst memory. Like, I have like alarms every day for like when Matilda, my daughter, has to have like her snack, her lunch, her nap, like, because I forget every single day. So I would be terrible at that.
You'd be the Neville of Slytherin.
I literally would, yeah. I'd be sleeping outside the...
And you know they wouldn't help you. Well, I don't want to say that.
I think Slytherins would protect their own.
That's true.
Yeah.
They'd protect the Slytherins.
Yeah. I guess like Slytherin, like so we talked about this before, how every house has a negative trait, and I guess Slytherin's negative trait is that because
Just being evil.
because they're very ambitious, they kind of do everything for themselves and for themselves only. But I feel like
it's almost more about, well,
for the good.
I feel like they will always put
the
themselves
house,
first.
Yeah.
But if helping someone else doesn't
hinder them in any way,
hinder them exactly, then they would be all for it.
Yeah, I think
especially
so
if they're
too.
Slytherin.
Yeah, I think so too. I think Slytherins, would have. I think everyone has a house, kind of a house pride.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like Hufflepuffs, they would kind of. I think they would be ready to help anyone, but even they have house pride.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Alrighty, so now let's move on to Rowena Ravenclaw. Can I just say, I always imagined Rowena Ravenclaw to be, this doesn't make any sense, but the kind of Professor McGonagall of the four founders.
Oh, okay.
Like they're kind of quite elegant and firm but fair, like doesn't joke around, you know.
Yes. I don't know why, but and I'm sorry to all Ravenclaws, but I used to really hate Ravenclaw House. I was like, oh, Ravenclaw so stuck up and but I obviously appreciate it now that I'm older and I know better. And Roman, my husband, is a Ravenclaw. I made him do the test, so I have to appreciate Ravenclaws even if I didn't want to. But I do appreciate them now.
Yeah.
It's a cool house.
Rowena valued, because she's dead, intelligence and wit. Oh, wow, what was I just saying about Professor McGonagall? Rowena was born in Scotland.
There you go. Oh, maybe we should have mentioned that Helga Hufflepuff was born in Wales.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Sorry. I
didn't know that.
I only just found that out like a few days ago and I was like, oh yeah, I should put that in, and I forgot.
Okay. Well, Helga Hufflepuff was born in Wales. That's super cool because I was born in Wales. Guys, it's all coming together. Yeah, she was born in Scotland and was the greatest witch of her age. It's pretty cool.
Unsurprisingly, for Ravenclaw.
Yeah. Her Horcrux, her item, was the lost diadem of Ravenclaw, which was said to enhance the wisdom of the wearer.
Mm.
I really
lost.
love that. What?
No longer lost.
Oh yeah, no longer. Although, where is it now?
True.
Maybe it's just been lost again.
I think, in the film, this is
Yeah.
obviously a movie. I don't know whether it's a movieism actually. Maybe it's not, but Harry kicked it into the room of requirement to get eaten up by the fiend fire. So maybe it's still in the room of requirement. Just like a
Just went
lump
straight
of
back there.
char of...
Yeah, no, in the book, he's just kind of like holding it, and then they get out, and he's like, "Oh look, it's damaged," I think. And Hermione's like,
Oh,
"Oh,
yeah.
that's because of fiend fire." Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So I guess, I mean, he might have just lobbed it somewhere, and
Forgotten about it, I guess.
yeah. It probably magically kind of goes somewhere by itself.
Yeah.
But I like that it doesn't give the wearer wisdom, but it just enhances the wisdom they
Yes.
already have.
Yes.
I really like the wording of that.
Yeah, me too. I didn't realise that. That's really cool of you to point that out.
I like it a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's very cool. And then obviously, as we know, her daughter envied her, her daughter being Helena Ravenclaw, and stole the diadem. And then Rowena fell ill and died from a broken heart because of this.
Aw, that's so
Very
sad.
Yeah.
When I first found out that you could die of a broken heart, I thought that it was like a lie. I thought it was like a myth. Like, no, you can't do that. But 'tis true. 'Tis true.
It's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
And very sad.
Yeah.
According to legend, Rowena dreamt about a warty hog leading her to a cliff by the lake where she and her companions would build Hogwarts, which obviously is where the name Hogwarts came from, since a warty hog led her there. I remember finding that out, and I was just like, what?
Yeah, I was like,
Excuse
J.K.
me?
Rowling, you just made that up. Well, she made all of this up. I was like, you just made that up for like lols, basically.
Yeah.
It's
I mean,
like, how
happens a
did
lot.
I come up with Hogwarts? maybe J.K. Rowling had that dream.
Oh, I feel like I've heard that.
Oh, really?
I don't know if that, maybe I just made that up now.
Yeah.
But potentially.
Yeah. What a dream, though, to have.
I want to have that dream. I want to see Hogwarts in my dreams, please.
Well, she didn't see Hogwarts. She just saw a
that's true.
random
She just saw a
spotty
lake.
pig with a lake.
Okay, I'm not too fussed about that dream, to be honest.
Although I guess the way
That
I
doesn't
describes
really-
it makes it a lot lamer than it actually is. Because a hog and a pig are different things.
Yeah,
If you
but
didn't
it's still
know.
just a watty hog
Yeah.
and a lake in Scotland.
Yeah.
Anyway, the animal of Ravenclaw is an eagle, which soars where others cannot climb.
Not
Wow.
a raven.
Lovely. Yeah,
It's just a last name, people.
yeah. Well, yeah.
It's a raven in the movies.
Yeah, that partial. Oh, okay. Bringing it back to movie book comparison, which is what we're supposed to be doing here. Yeah, that partially bugs me and partially comforts
it
me
makes
because
sense.
it should be a raven. It does
'Cause
seem
it's
like a weird change to make,
Ravenclaw.
though. Yeah, but then Gryffindor's animal isn't a griffin,
True. Yeah.
but Slytherin's
It's
is
like
a snake.
slithery snake. Yeah.
Yeah,
And then
Slytherin.
Hufflepuff is just Hufflepuff.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, I guess that's true. They are just last names, and it is an odd.
right.
It is an odd change to make because eagles are
Yeah.
like stereotypically
Known for
wise.
yeah.
Yeah. Although ravens are ravens really wise, or is that crows? I think I'm
just
thinking
think
of crows.
the CBBC TV show from the early 2000s.
Oh yeah, raven.
Yeah, where it's like a
Not That So Raven, which is another great show.
Oh yes, which is another early 2000s or late 90s.
Late 90s, definitely.
Late 90s. Yeah. Okay.
I'm just imagining the clothing. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
90s.
Although early 2000s, late 90s kind of merged, but yeah.
True,
Anyway.
yeah. Anyway, Harry Potter.
Not essential information.
Yeah, I think I'm thinking of crows that are wise.
Yeah, crows are the ones that are like one for sorrow, two for joy, 3 for a girl, 4 for a boy.
Yeah, and they're
They're supposed to be kind of
also
like fortune
like
telling, aren't
the
they?
birds that in Japan they can literally there are some crows that can operate vending machines.
Wow.
Apparently.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's
I don't like
yeah.
don't quote me on that, but yeah, apparently.
Wow. That is very. I would be terrified if I saw a crow using a vending machine. Can you imagine? You're just trying to get a drink and then crow cuts in front of you. Yeah.
Yeah.
I would
Excuse
be too
me,
happy.
I'm late for work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rowena's daughter Helena travelled to Albania where she was killed. Blah blah blah. We know blah blah blah. Old news.
Yeah.
Oddly enough, there's an Albanian folktale called The Tale of the Eagle that tells the story of how Albania came to be known as the land of the eagles. I'm very sorry to Albania as a whole. I will be butchering this story, but here I go. I'm just going to read it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a cool story, and it's short.
All right. Okay, yeah. Once upon a time, no. A youth was hunting in the mountains. An eagle flying above him alighted on top, I assume landed, on top of a crag. The eagle was especially large and had a snake in its beak. After a while, the eagle flew away from the crag where it had its nest. The youth then climbed up to the top of the crag where he saw in the nest an eagle playing with the dead snake.
Eaglet.
An eaglet.
That's pivotal in the story.
An eaglet playing with the dead snake. However, the snake was not dead. That feels a bit strangely written. Anyway,
Yeah.
the snake was not dead.
Dun,
Suddenly,
dun,
it
dun.
stirred, revealed its fangs, and was ready to pierce the eaglet with its deadly venom. I have no idea that. Anyway,
What?
that baby eagles were
We're called
eaglets.
eaglets. Yeah, that's weird.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, it's cute.
The youth quickly took out his bow and arrow and killed the snake. Then he took the eaglet and started for his home. Suddenly the youth heard above him the loud whir of the great eagle's wings. "Why do you kidnap my child?"
Nice.
cried the eagle. Thanks. I really think I should go into voice acting, but
Yeah.
I don't know. "The child is mine because I saved it from the snake which you didn't kill," answered the youth. "Give me back my child, and I will give you a reward, the sharpness of my eye and the powerful strength of my wings. You will become invincible, and you will be called by my name." Thus the youth handed over the eaglet. After the eaglet grew, it would always fly above the head of the youth, now a grown man, who with his bow and arrows killed many wild beasts of the forest, and with his sword slew many enemies of the land. During all of these feats, the eagle faithfully watched over and guided him. Amazed by the valiant hunter's deeds, the people of the land elected him king and called him, you know what, shall I go for it? Called him
Shikita?
Shquipta. It sounds too British when I say it.
Sorry, Albanians
they
everywhere.
called him. Yeah, I really do apologise. They called him this very special, hard to pronounce name, which is to say, son of the eagle, Shkip, or whatever is Albanian for eagle. And his kingdom became known as Shqiperia, or land of the eagles.
There you go.
Lovely.
That's so cool.
This is from livingalbania.com, so or .it. That's. Do you think that was intentional?
I don't know. It's hard to say because eagles are already like a wise thing, but you'd think that it would be an owl because
well, I guess
are like...
owls are already such a motif, I guess, of the series.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. So I don't know.
But also, Albania is more related to like Voldemort. I feel more than
eagles,
Ravenclaws.
But I think maybe Rowena's daughter going to Albania was intentional because maybe she did some research about Albania. But I think the eagle being the
was
animal
before,
because of that was not because of that.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Speaking of Helena Ravenclaw, she is the ghost of Ravenclaw. Oh,
that's interesting.
Just for a little bit of film chat. How do you feel about how Helena Ravenclaw changed from earlier films to obviously in the last film?
Where do we see her in earlier films?
Okay.
Hold on, let me just look it up.
She just is wearing like a puffy dress. You just see her walking with Nearly Headless Nick or Sir Nicholas de Mimsy Porpington, if you don't mind.
Oh, like him saying, I always knew he'd do well.
Yeah.
Oh, now that I know which ghost you're talking about, I really like the first one. I always, and we said this from the beginning that we wouldn't just like poo on the films, but obviously we have opinions, and I really hated the film. That whole scene, I hated everything about it. Just to put it very bluntly. Yeah, I didn't like it. I didn't like how her head randomly got bigger when she was angry.
Yeah, that was a bit odd.
Yeah,
and her dress also looked quite modern.
Yeah, her dress was so plain. And yeah, as you say, modern. No. So now that I've seen the one from Philosopher's Stone, I didn't know that. How did you know that was Helena?
See, I think it is just because that's what everyone says, but that might just be one of those things that everyone's kind of just decided it's Helena.
Right.
You know?
Well, if it is, I like that one a lot more.
All right, nice. So the common room for Ravenclaw is at the top of Ravenclaw Tower. Makes sense. Behind a door with an enchanted knocker, the arched windows set into the walls of our this is the prefect talking.
Yeah.
Set into the walls of our circular common room, look down at the school grounds, the lake, the forbidden forest, the Quidditch pitch, and the herbology gardening gardens. No other house in the school has such stunning views. Yeah, that's fair. I do agree with that.
Yeah.
And that also makes sense since it's an eagle and it's all about like soaring higher than anyone else.
True, nice.
Thanks.
I didn't make that connection.
Yeah, I didn't until just then. But that might be one of the, because I feel like Ravenclaw Tower is the highest one.
Probably.
That would make sense.
It would make sense.
If not, that's a missed opportunity.
Yeah.
I can imagine Ravenclaw being like, I am going to have the highest tower in this school. You know?
Yeah.
Like,
my
gotta
animal
stick with the...
is the eagle.
Yeah, exactly.
Your animal is a
like,
lion.
We'll just be down by the kitchen.
Yeah, I don't want to walk too far.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's not unusual to find 20 people standing outside the common room door, all trying to work out the answer to the day's question together. That's the enchanted knocker asks a riddle to each person, and it won't change until someone has answered it, and then it will change to a new riddle. This is a great way to meet fellow Ravenclaws from other years and to learn from them, although it is a bit annoying if you've forgotten your Quidditch robes and need to get in and out in a hurry.
I think I would hate that.
Yeah, you should triple check your bag for everything you need before leaving Ravenclaw Tower. Yeah, that seems like a kind of inefficient
it's a major flaw.
system. Yeah.
Yeah.
Although it's super cool. But...
It is cool. I think that's
mention
probably my favourite way of entering a common room out of all four. But yeah, I just imagine being a little first year, being asked like a crazy riddle, and you're like, but I'm late to class, and like everyone else is in class already, and you've just come from breakfast and you've forgotten your quill, and it's like, no, nobody else is gonna come up, and you're just there all day.
Yeah.
Here you go, a little visual for you.
Wow. Another cool thing about Ravenclaw is that our people are the most individual. Some might even call them eccentrics, but geniuses are often out of step with ordinary folk. And unlike some other houses we could mention, we think you've got the right to wear what you like, believe what you want, and say what you feel. We aren't put off by people who march to a different tune. On the contrary, we value them.
I love that.
I love this prefect.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, that's a really cool trait of Ravenclaws. Obviously, we can't speak for all Ravenclaws, but I feel like they are the most open-minded house because they're so wise. Like Hufflepuffs are the most welcoming because they just love everyone, but Ravenclaws are like open to new ideas, you know, because they want to learn. I think that's really good.
And there was so much like again, you should really read, especially the Ravenclaw one. There was so much that I couldn't include because obviously we don't want this to be a 3-hour long episode on this particular subject that's really cool. So I'd really recommend everyone go and read, particularly the Ravenclaw house welcoming thing.
Nice. The head of Ravenclaw House is Professor Phileas Flitwick. People often underestimate him because he's really tiny. We think he's part elf, but we've never been rude enough to ask. He's got a squeaky voice, but he's the best and most knowledgeable charms master alive in the world today. That's after the best at Hogwarts
cool.
School of Witchcraft and Wizardry.
Yeah. With Dumbledore in that castle as well.
Yeah, that's true. His office door is always open to any Ravenclaw with a problem, and if you're in a real state, he'll get these delicious little cupcakes he keeps in a tiny tin. No, in a tin. He keeps in a tin in his desk drawer and make them do a little dance for you. In fact, it's worth pretending you're in a real state just to see them jive. That's so cute.
That is so cute. It's so Flitwick, yeah.
Yeah. Some famous witches and wizards that have come from Ravenclaw House are Perpetua Fancourt, the inventor of the lunarscope. Very cool.
Lunarscope.
Luna, nice.
Hey!
Yeah, Luna Lovegood also, honourable mention.
Yeah, I don't know why this isn't on the list. I mean, if you wrote this list, I don't know. Sorry.
Laverne de Montmorency, a great pioneer of love potions. Yeah, that makes sense. That name, that makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
Ignatia Wildsmith, the inventor of flue powder. Wow, another very crucial
cool
item.
Yeah.
And Ulrich the Oddball, who used a jellyfish for a hat. He's the punchline of a lot of wizarding jokes.
Yeah.
That's such a cool person to have in your house. I'm a bit jealous, I can't lie.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I love, that's just so funny.
It is
funny.
Because,
he's, the joke of the wizarding world, isn't he?
Yeah, but, I think he means it in a negative way. I think the prefect means, the butt of the joke. Oh yeah, but we're really cool, and everyone's like, yeah, but you've got Ulrich the Oddball.
That's true.
Or Ulrich the Oddball.
It's still kind of cool.
Yeah. I do like that they've got lots of odd people.
This prefect was saying, a lot of eccentricity in Ravenclaw House, because, like I said, they're just super open-minded, which is very cool.
It's like what is it? It's like Cambridge and Oxford. One of them has an open book. I think it's Oxford.
Oh. I think it's Cambridge with the open book.
Are you sure?
Oh no, it's Cambridge. It is Cambridge with the closed book.
Yeah, okay. That's what I was like. I could have sworn that Oxford was the one with the open book.
Yeah, Oxford is definitely open book.
I prefer Oxford, and one thing I like about Oxford is that it has the open book. Because they both make fun of each other. And so Cambridge makes fun of Oxford because they're like, you have been stuck on the same page for 1,000 years. And Oxford makes fun of Cambridge because they're like, well, you won't even open the book in the first place. Yeah.
That's pretty, I hadn't heard that before. That's quite funny. And then we have some famous Ravenclaw ministers for magic. Millicent Bagnold, who was in power on the night that Harry Potter survived the Dark Lord's curse.
I love this.
Not Lord. Harry Potter survived Voldemort's curse.
Yes.
And defended
He does not deserve Dark Lord.
Yeah. No, thank you. Hashtag not my Dark Lord. Anyway. And was the one who defended the wizarding celebrations all over Britain with the words, "I assert our inalienable right to party." What a quote.
So good.
That's, true. Very true.
Yeah.
And then we have Lorcan MacLeod, who was quite a brilliant wizard, but preferred to communicate by puffing smoke out of the end of his wand. Yeah, fair enough. Yeah. You know what? Yeah, go for it.
Imagine having a minister for magic, though, and trying to, decipher what he's saying with his puffs. Do you think he puffed words or pictures?
See, when I first read that, I was thinking just, random little, Morse code.
Yeah.
Letters would make sense.
Yeah.
It's
Gandalf
probably,
doing
words.
The ship.
Yes, exactly. It's probably Yeah, or maybe pictures. I don't know.
Yeah.
At first I was thinking just random puffs, but it's probably a little more complex than that.
Okay, so now we're on to our last...
Least.
Lizzie! Now we're on to our last...
For me, at least.
Pardon?
I am not very Gryffindor. For me.
Yeah.
And for you.
And for me, like, this is probably my third...
Not least favourite, but least. For me, it's my least related to.
Yeah, and this is my third least related to. It's Godric Gryffindor, if you didn't know. We've talked about all the other three, so I don't think I need to say who he is, but his name's Godric Gryffindor. Obviously, we know a lot about Gryffindor, so we're not going to say a whole lot. But there are some interesting things. Obviously, he valued bravery and chivalry. He was the best duelist of his time, both with a wand and a sword.
That's pretty cool.
The sword of Godric Gryffindor. Yeah, I liked that.
That is really cool.
He also left his hat behind, which was enchanted to be able to sort students when the founders got too old and it became apparent that they couldn't do it themselves forever.
Do you think the hat is a little biased towards Gryffindor?
Maybe.
I feel like whenever
I'll put Harry in Gryffindor because...
Yeah. Oh, we got Harry Potter. Oh, yeah. He's going in my house.
Maybe that's why. Although... No, it was Harry who chose Gryffindor.
Who chose Gryffindor, yeah. He wanted to put him in Slytherin.
So he's pretty fair, I guess.
Yeah.
Looking at that as an example. And I guess that kind of reflects chivalry, like being fair.
That's true, yeah.
The sword of Godric Gryffindor, was created by Ragnarok the First, which obviously was a goblin, and which, with goblin ideals, probably means that Ragnarok is classed as the sword's owner, even though somebody bought it legally. Anyway, that really annoys me in goblin lore. Godric's Hollow was Gryffindor's birthplace and was thus named after him. The house animal is the lion, bravest of all creatures, apparently, according to our prefect. I don't know whether that's true.
Well, to be fair, all the prefects are like, yeah, this animal is the wisest and this one's the bravest.
Yeah, and it's like, well, I don't know whether dolphins are wiser than eagles, actually. Imagine.
Imagine if it was a dolphin. That would be worse than a raven and an eagle. Yeah.
Yeah. Or like a dog.
A dog.
Because they're pretty wise.
Yeah.
Well, they're smart for animals. Anyway. The house ghost is Sir Nicholas de Mimsy Porpington. I love Sir Nick. I think he's my favourite of all of the ghosts.
Yeah, I guess he's the only one you really get to interact with.
Yeah, true.
There's not, apart from Peeves doesn't count as a ghost, we're saying house ghost.
You kind of get a bit from Bloody Baron from Peeves. Like, I like that the Bloody Baron is the only one that can scare Peeves.
Yeah.
Or control him, I guess. Yeah. And the common room. Obviously, we've seen the common room before, but I just thought it'd be cool to, like, read the description, because there's a little bit more detail. It has a roaring fire, stuffed armchairs, and a great view from the windows. The dormitories are reached by climbing the winding mahogany staircase, which is decorated with crimson and gold. There's plenty of gold around the tower. Our 4 posters are covered in thick scarlet blankets. We have quite windy nights up in the towers, it says in brackets, and are embroidered with gold. Gold chandeliers cast warm glows all around.
Ooh, that does sound very nice.
Does sound cozy. I think with just like thinking of the common rooms specifically, it'd be tough to decide between this and the Hufflepuff.
Yeah.
Although I guess with the Ravenclaw we don't really have much information about the indoor.
Like the views sound super cool. To be honest, I think I would go for Hufflepuff just because I wouldn't want to have to do the stairs every day. True,
yeah, and I want a hobbit hole Like, me and Roman have actually made serious plans to build a hobbit
it's
hole.
been about
but
a
obviously we
millisecond
just
for you
don't have
guys
the time
for
or the money at the moment.
us.
Yeah.
It's been a
But
few
yeah,
days.
we've like drawn
so
things out and
we
everything.
apologise
Wow.
if the audio sounds a little bit
That's the
different.
dream, isn't it?
Yeah,
But we'll,
Or if we
Yeah,
sound
I would love
older
to.
and wiser. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Um,
I've evolved from Pikachu to Raichu at this point.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm a
I
much
don't
better
know. I
person.
don't get the reference, but okay, I'll play along.
Yeah.
Okay, so now we've discussed the founders individually a bit, we're going to talk about them creating Hogwarts. The founders wanted to create the world's best magical school, which, does it say in the books that it is?
No, but I mean, it's obvious.
Okay.
Come on.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool school.
I mean, if it wasn't, the whole series would be set in a different school.
well,
Harry would be like
Sure.
Harry would be Russian if the
Latvian or
Russian
something.
was the
Yeah. True.
I don't know though.
Well, yeah, that's debatable. Anyway, it is a popular wizarding theory that Rowena Ravenclaw came up with the name of Hogwarts after dreaming of a warty hog that led her to a cliff by a lake. It's unknown whether this is actually true. And then that cliff is where they built Hogwarts. That's one of my favourite pieces of trivia, actually. I'm not exactly sure why, but I just love the idea of this lady having a dream about some hog leading her somewhere and being like, that's it, that's where we're building our school.
Yeah.
Like,
And it was
what?
so like succinct. Like, we mentioned this earlier this episode, but it's cool to mention it again because it's like dreams aren't like that. Like,
Right,
when you wake up, it's like, I dreamt there was this pig. And then it's like, bam, I've forgotten it.
Spiders, one went to tap dance.
Yeah.
And I went to tap dance. Yeah.
You tell those spiders, Ron.
I'll tell them. It was probably, if this story is true, it was probably some kind of weird magical vision or something, rather than just a normal dream. I'm sure she didn't just have a dream about some pig and then decide that was,
I mean, maybe
where they were
she's like
building
a
their
secret
school.
seer, who knows?
Possibly. I feel like out of the four, I'd put my money on Rowena.
Yeah,
But yes,
because I
so
feel
that
like a
is
lot of seers are very
smart. Wise. It's
I was going to say eccentric.
Oh, that's true. Well, but I don't see Rowena as the eccentric one.
True, me
Oh,
neither.
I had a bit of a malfunction there. I feel like Sprout. Well, and also Slytherin. Not Sprout. Helga. To be fair, in my mind, they are very, very similar, Helga and Sprout.
Yeah, same. Yeah, I see them as very, even like visually quite similar people.
Yeah. Like if I had to cast it, I would cast.
But then you've
Same
got
actress.
Rowena and Flitwick. What?
Yeah. So yeah, the four founders were originally friends, but that changed once it became clear that certain founders had a very different idea of what they wanted Hogwarts to be. That founder, of course, was Salazar Slytherin. Sorry, Slytherins, but that's just history. Who distrusted Muggle-born wizards and believed that only pureblood students should be allowed to attend Hogwarts.
I don't know why
The founders.
in the doc the pure blood is in like inverted commas because it's like they're literally pure blood.
Yeah, these so-called pureblood. Don't know anything about that. Yeah. The other three founders. I just realised that founders looks like four at the beginning. That's irrelevant.
Yeah.
Anyway, the other founders disagreed, especially Godric Gryffindor, who was up until then Slytherin's greatest friend.
I like that
Which
fact.
I find very interesting.
Yeah, I
I
really
didn't
like
know about that until later on.
Yeah.
I think that's really interesting because I honestly feel like, well, I don't know. I was going to say I feel like Slytherins and Gryffindors have the potential to be really very close friends, but I suppose they have quite differing outlooks.
Yeah,
I guess.
like chivalry and what's the Slytherin trait
Like
that's
wanting to save your own neck, but there's a better
yeah.
word.
I don't know. I don't want to just be like being selfish because it's not like they're not selfish
But like
people.
self-preservation.
Yeah,
That's a
they're
better
two
word.
very different things.
Yeah.
Like a Slytherin, I feel like, and this isn't like for any Slytherins listening, like it's not a bad thing. It's just a different point of view. Like
Yeah.
Gryffindors are like the heroes and they like playing the hero.
Yeah,
And
which is also
sometimes,
problematic in its own
yeah,
way
I was going to say
sometimes.
sometimes it's more important to save your own neck,
Yeah.
you know? So I think both, like we've said this before many times, and we'll probably say it again many times, that you need all four
Yeah.
attributes in
Yeah.
life.
It's like it's like I'm ashamed that I'm even saying this, but it's like Divergent.
It
But
is, yeah.
it's like
We've said that before.
that's the whole point of the story, really,
Yeah,
is
that
like
it's
coming
stupid
together.
to just pick one.
Yeah,
You need, like, a human isn't just one thing.
exactly. You need to be ambitious and kind and brave and wise
Yeah.
and surround yourself with all those people to have
Yeah.
a fulfilling life. Wow, this is getting philosophical real quick.
This is why I really don't like the idea of jobs in general, because it's like, well, you have one talent and you do that thing,
Yeah,
whereas most
yeah.
people have 3 or 4 different things that they're good at. And it's like, well, I can't have 3 or 4 jobs, so I have to
Yeah.
pick one, and it's annoying. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway,
The
Rant over.
Slytherin and Slytherin and Gryffindor's argument, possibly it suggested a duel even, resulted in Slytherin leaving the school behind.
well, it's probably for the best. Although, if he stayed, I don't know whether the chamber would have gotten made. I don't know.
Oh, that's true.
I think it was probably a pass-up between staying and killing everyone himself, or leaving and making the chamber. So I don't
Yeah.
know what I'd rather
Which
have.
is better.
I think,
I suppose he could only kill children for so long.
yeah, and people.
But then I guess maybe he would have made it before he died, but...
Yeah. And the other 3, damn it, we keep on doing that. The other 3 would stop him, surely.
Yeah,
So I think
yeah.
the chamber was, in his eyes, his only option.
Yeah.
Depressingly enough. Well, now we've got the rather interesting, in my opinion. Well, this all is interesting, actually.
Yeah.
But this is a very new piece of information for me. I didn't know this until very recently, listening to a different podcast. But there's a thing called the Hogwarts Book and Quill. So we first, just to give a bit of context, we first hear about this when Hagrid's like, this boy's name has been in the book since before he was born, kind of thing. So this is what this is all about. And I'm just going to read, like, this is an abbreviated version of the Hogwarts Book and Quill, like, article, I guess, written piece.
Yeah.
Yeah.
On what when it was published, it was on Pottermore, but
Yeah.
obviously now it's Wizarding World.
Yeah, and this is by J.K. Rowling. So it says, in a small locked tower, never visited by any student at Hogwarts, sits an ancient book that has not been touched by human hands since the 4 founders placed it there on completion of the castle. Beside the book, which is bound in peeling black dragon hide, stands a small silver ink pot, and from this protrudes a long, faded quill. These are the Quill of Acceptance and the Book of Admittance, and they constitute the only process by which students are selected for Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry.
Where do you think this is in relation to other parts of the school?
Oh, geographically in the castle.
Do you think it's just some random tower somewhere that just no one really knows what it is?
You know that, like, weird bit off the end of Dumbledore's, the headmaster's tower? Like the 3 little bits.
That is Dumbledore's office.
Oh, I thought he had this, like, whole tower. Oh, never mind.
Oh. Well, I mean, I was thinking possibly it could just be, like, above the headmaster's office.
Yeah, that would make the
Potentially.
most sense, because it's like some headmasters, which I'll read later, sometimes, like, watch it to try and like catch it in action.
Yeah.
And I feel like only headmasters would probably have the privilege to do that? Question mark.
Well, probably McGonagall, because she's the one who writes the letters.
Oh, true. So maybe it's in
Right?
more...
Does she?
Yeah, she
Well,
writes
or just,
the...
like-
You've been
Yeah,
accepted.
I know she signs them off, but like, I wonder if she actually physically writes them.
She
if that makes sense.
probably, like, charms a quill to just kind of
Yeah.
bash all of them out with different names. Although there are only 40 people in each year, so it's not that difficult, according to J.K. Rowling. which is a detail that's always annoyed me, by the way. But I'm not going to cover that.
Yeah, that one. Yeah.
It's like thousands of students, and it's like you only write about 40 people in each year. Like, what?
Well, I guess to be fair, if I was writing a book about me, I wouldn't write about that many kids because I don't interact with that many kids.
True, yeah.
But still, yeah, that is a bit of a weird one.
Yeah, so yeah, that is an interesting question. I think, yeah, probably either above the headmaster's thing or
Yeah.
in
Just a
like a
random tower.
really, really high. I
Really,
imagine
like-
it really high.
Like the highest tower.
Just off Ravenclaw Tower.
And like probably. And like really tiny. Like it's just
Yeah.
enough room for one person to
It's
get
like
up
one
there
of those, what are they called? Oh, my mum's going to kill me because she loves these things. Priest holes. Have you ever been in one of those?
It rings a bell, so maybe.
So
but
it's like, I have no idea what religion's involved or anything. I don't know, because my history, I'm not into history. Please don't come for me. I don't like history. But basically it's when one religion or like people that didn't want religion were like fighting against the priests.
and
so
and they
priests-
would like have somewhere to hide.
Yeah, so they
Right.
would have like bits in the wall. They would be very, very
Yeah,
cramped.
yeah.
And there'd only be space for like one person standing
Yeah.
or something. And I imagine
Yeah.
it to be like you open a door or you climb up through a hole and there's like a little ledge that the book and quill are
Yeah.
on.
Yeah.
And it's kind of dusty and mysterious.
Nice, yeah.
That's why I imagine.
Cool.
Okay. If anybody understands what powerful and long-lasting magic causes this book and quill to behave as they do, nobody has ever confessed to it. Doubtless because, as Albus Dumbledore once sighed, it saves the staff tedious explanations to parents who are furious that their children have not been selected for Hogwarts. The book and quill's decision is final, and no child has ever been admitted whose name has not first been inscribed on the book's yellowing pages. I really like that because you can show no prejudice.
Yeah, that's true.
It's like we just do what
just
the book and quill
magic,
say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder, similar to like the sorting hat going through all the different iterations of different ways to get sorted, I wonder if there are loads of different options that she went through of...
I don't know, I
what
doubt
could-
it because this isn't really a thing that she writes about.
that's
Although I
true.
wonder if she was going to write about it and then was like, that doesn't
Maybe.
matter.
Yeah.
Because why would she
There are
think
loads
about
of
it?
there are loads of plots like that you can read about on Pottermore, but just never... Well, but then there's the
Yeah.
argument of like, is it canon, blah, blah, blah.
I
consider
take all of
well-
those canon because it's like no matter how many times people say, "Oh, Harry Potter is the fans thing," like I'm a fan. I didn't write Harry Potter. Like it's not in my brain. And although I like take headcanons as canon for myself sometimes of other people, I think J.K. Rowling, no matter what kind of person she is, and I'm not going to get into her at the moment, is the creator. And
I
it's
think
all in
I
her
like-
head. She
Yeah.
she literally created Harry Potter. So you
I
can't
do
like
like
say
that.
that, oh, you're
Yeah.
wrong when she's the one that wrote it.
I do like that. I do like that it's that the Pottermore writings are there for people who want
Yes.
to, like, because I
'Cause if you don't care,
I
you don't
do
have to
agree
read it.
to I agree of like it belongs to the fans in the sense of like whatever you want Harry Potter to be, you
Yes.
can choose your headcanon,
Oh, yes,
you can choose what
totally.
you
Yeah,
want,
that's
like you
not
can
what I
create
meant.
your own. Yeah, no. I was just clarifying.
Yeah.
because,
Thank you. Yeah.
like each individual can have their own canon. If that makes
Yes,
sense.
definitely. Like you want Black Hermione, have Black Hermione.
I love
Great.
Black Hermione.
Yeah, me too. You want Indian Harry, have Indian Harry. You want, I don't know, Irish Ron. I was like, he's described as pale and freckly. Where could he come from?
Yeah.
You know, I think that's great. But for things that she's like actually physically written and it's like, this is what happens, I'm like, you can't really escape from that, no matter how much you like it. Like, I like to say that for me, like, Cursed Child isn't canon, but it is. It is canon.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah. Unfortunately. I mean, but I mean, we've got Scorpius out of it, so
That's true.
I'm willing to say it's canon for Scorpius.
And we've got a Slytherin Potter, which I'm very on board with.
Yeah, definitely.
But we've also got a horrible father, Harry. Anyway, we can discuss this at a different
We've got
point.
to go and see it and then do...
That's true. That's very true.
Yeah,
that's very true.
Because...
Oh my gosh, I bet it is incredible to watch.
Yeah.
And also Black Miley.
Yes. I cannot wait for the day that I can see that.
Yeah.
Oh, anyway.
That was a complete 180.
Yeah, that was.
About our opinion on Cursed Child. But yes.
Anyway, we're not doing a book to theatre comparison.
Mm-hmm.
We're doing book to film. Okay, so it continues to say, at the precise moment that a child first exhibits signs of magic, the quill, which is believed to have been taken from an... Oh gosh, how do I say this? Augury? Augury?
I say augury, but it's a made-up magical name, so you can pronounce it
True.
however you want.
Yeah. Taken from an augury, floats up out of its inkpot and attempts to inscribe the name of that child upon the pages of the book. Augury feathers are known to repel ink, and the inkpot is empty. Nobody has ever managed to analyse precisely what the silvery fluid flowing from the enchanted quill is.
What is the silvery liquid?
I was just about to ask you. I think
it's not unicorn blood.
Oh, okay. Why? Why isn't it unicorn blood?
I don't think it's unicorn blood because of all the connotations with... Because, that can run out, but also because of all the connotations with...
Oh, true.
I know it's drinking it is different to using it to write, but I feel like all the connotations wrote from the first book about, killing a unicorn, taking the blood of a unicorn. I don't think that would be what it is.
Yeah, never mind.
But also, I think it would be something that isn't just a liquid, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
Some kind of almost like
liquid spell. Maybe it's like, potion. You know how memories are silvery? Maybe it's the four founders' memories.
Okay, yeah. yes, okay, new headcanon. Yes, it's the four founders' memories, absolutely.
I'm so proud of myself.
That's so good.
I don't know how I just came up with that.
That's so cool. Yeah, absolutely. Because then it's like, you kind of write with it, but like it doesn't disappear. Like, yeah. Okay, yeah, moving on. It's the four founders' memories, absolutely.
And like memories, because like they're dead, but in Harry Potter universe anyway, there's definitely an afterlife, so they can still have memories in an afterlife. So maybe it's like enchanted to keep going with their.
And also,
I don't know.
When Snape dies, like Harry still has all his memories, and I guess in a way, yeah. Okay.
I don't know, but I quite like that.
I like that.
Cool. I can't believe I just thought of that. I never do things like that. Anyway, those few...
The Ravenclaw.
Pardon?
The Ravenclaw's coming out. It's starting to...
My coming of age is finally... Okay, so it goes on to say, those few who have observed the process, several headmasters and headmistresses have enjoyed spending quiet hours in the Book and Quill's tower, hoping to catch them in action, agree that the quill might be judged more lenient than the book. A mere whiff of magic suffices for the quill. The book, however, will often snap shut, refusing to be written upon, until it receives sufficiently dramatic evidence of magical ability. Thus, the very moment that Neville Longbottom was born, the quill attempted to write his name, and was refused by the book, which snapped shut. Oh, Neville. When will he catch a break? But that's cool, like, the very moment he was born. Anyway.
The quill knew.
Yeah. Even the midwife who attended Alice Longbottom had failed to notice that Neville managed to shift his blankets more snugly over himself moments after birth, assuming that his father had tucked the baby in more securely.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that so much.
Yeah,
that Neville is actually showing magic.
Yeah, even at like, that would have been, like minutes after birth.
Yeah.
I don't know whether you've seen a baby that young before. But, I mean, when did you see Matilda? March, April? You saw her like a month old. And you saw how pathetic she was. Like, they're literally potatoes.
Yeah.
They're like moving blobs of flesh, basically.
Yeah.
And I don't mean that in a mean way. It's just the truth.
They just,
They don't do anything and like sleep, eat, and cry. And it's not when they begin to like smile, that's kind of when they begin to do other things as well.
Yeah.
But like the most they can do is like look around. So the fact that he that he had the thought, I'm cold, I'm going to move my blanket up, and then could actually get his hands to move up is incredible.
Yeah.
That shows how magical he actually is.
It's definitely
I love Neville.
like it's definitely one of those cases of nature nurture, of like, he is, I think, a very talented wizard.
Yes.
But because he was brought up to believe that
he wasn't.
He is not.
Yeah.
He's not.
Yeah. The power of the mind is an incredible thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Both negatively and positively. Neville's family persistently missed faint signs of magic in him, and not until he was 8 years old did either his disappointed great aunts and uncles or the old stickler of a book accept that he was truly a wizard when he survived a fall that should have killed him. I like that she has a bit about Neville there. That's cool.
Yeah.
In fact, the book's sternness has a purpose. Its track record in keeping squibs out of Hogwarts is perfect. Non-magic children born to witches and wizards occasionally have some small residual aura of magic about them due to their parents. But once their parents' magic has worn off them, it becomes clear that they will never have the ability to perform spells. I know. The cool sensitivity, coupled with the book's implacability, have never yet made a mistake.
Nice.
That's cool about squibs. Cool. Like, I always wonder, like, you know, we all know that Harry Potter exists in real life, right? We all know witches and wizards exist. So I wonder, like, if, and I for any of those people who are listening to us who also listen to Swish and Flick, I'm taking this directly from Swish and Flick. I really like this theory that one of the hosts of Swish and Flick said that she wondered whether like traces of magic kind of skip generations or like pass through, and sometimes when you like have a bit of intuition or think that you've done something by accident, and whether that's like a little bit of magic showing through.
I love that.
Yeah,
love that so
I
much.
really love that.
Oh, like when, you know how some people believe in like manifestation. I personally think it's confirmation bias, but you know, believe what you want to believe. But when it's so, okay, the other day, this is a complete tangent, but the other day I was telling my mum how I really wanted, you know, those trousers that are like khaki shorts and then you zip the leg on and off.
Yes.
Yeah, I really
walking trousers.
Them. Yeah, exactly. Like the ones you wear to scouts and stuff.
Yeah.
I just really wanted a pair because I just think they're really funny.
I've got
just
a pair.
telling her about those. I just think they're so cool. Anyway, and then my mum went to the charity shop in our very small town and found a pair in the exact colour I wanted in my size.
That's so cool.
Right? Like, and I personally, I'm just like, oh, what a coincidence, how funny. Some people would say that's like, I don't know, manifestation,
like fate.
Or like the universe, like, you know, whatever.
If
you had the chance to change your fate, would you? But yeah, that's a fun theory that's like residual. I think that's really, I think that's really cool.
Like maybe one of your great grandmas was a seer or something, and
right.
Yeah, I really like it. Or like one of my old bosses once brought to my attention a thing called empath, which is like when you feel empathy, but like 1,000% more than empathy. Right. And I definitely have this. I don't know what the science is behind it, but it's definitely a real thing. That some people like feel emotions siphoning off other people.
Yeah.
And so sometimes when I walk down, it's really inconvenient sometimes when I walk down the street and somebody really angry walks by, I feel a flash of anger from them. And I'm like, oh, I feel angry all of a sudden. What's going on? So I like to think now that I've heard that theory from Swish and Flick, that I'm like, ooh, that's like, I'm a
No,
magician.
I don't know if that's like further on than I've got to, or if I just like wasn't paying attention. But I hadn't heard that until you just said that.
Yeah,
But that
it's probably
I think
further
that's
on.
really cool.
I'm,
Yeah,
I'm
probably.
pretty far.
Okay, I'm not that far off.
Yeah. Or like, you know, have you ever been able to, when the phone rings, so like my mum, one of her friends rings quite often, and when I used to live with my parents, I don't know whether it's because she rang at the same time of day and my brain just kind of memorized it without me.
Yeah, without realising.
Yeah, but every time she rang, I didn't pick it up and I shouted, "Mum, it's Dawn." And she would be like, "How do you know?" And I was like, "I just know it's Dawn." And she picks it up and she's like, "Hello," and it is Dawn. Or like, I can just tell like where I was working previously, me and one of my co-workers worked together so often. There was just the two of us for like almost 8 or 9 months, day in, day out, 5 days a week, and then we would only be joined by other colleagues on Saturdays.
Right.
So we got to the point where we would know who it was by the sound that the door makes, by how we open the door, whether it was us or a customer.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I guess, there's things like, I mean, obviously I've lived with my family forever, so that's different, but like, you can tell like who's coming up the stairs and who's come through the front door, and it's really odd.
Yeah. So I think like some of that intuition, I really like to believe now that it's like...
Yeah, it's quite fun.
I'm a wizard.
Like yeah.
Sorry, that was a really long tangent.
But I think that's really cool.
Yeah, I really like things like that. When you do cool things like that.
I also like headcanons that make Harry Potter feel more like it's... I don't want to say more real, because as you all know, it's very much real, but when you always like justify things in the real world with Harry Potter things, and it blurs the lines between the story and your life, and it just makes it feel more magical.
It's like when a Harry Potter musical, it's like in a Harry Potter senior year when Gilderoy Lockhart was like, "I'm going to publish all of these books under the pseudonym J.K. Rowling," and I was like, "Yes, headcanon accepted, totally."
Yeah. Yeah, it's perfect. Yeah, when it like how in Power Rangers their guns are all really plastic looking, so that you can have the plastic gun, but it's the real gun. So when it's the toy, it's like,
exactly, I've got the real.
It's real, yeah.
Yeah.
I like that a lot. That's cool. So now we're moving on more to kind of Hogwarts rather than just the Hogwarts founders. So here is just a quick overview of what is mentioned about Hogwarts from Hogwarts history. The stuff that's mentioned in the books, obviously, because we don't have a Hogwarts history.
Yeah.
I really want one.
Me too.
We don't have one. But here's what we do.
But it should be called like, you know, one of those titles that Hermione comes up with in the 4th book when she's really angry about it not mentioning.
It's like I can't remember anything.
Extremely biased.
Yes, and brief and something else. Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. So obviously number 1 is the one everyone knows. The ceiling of the Great Hall that sounded really passive aggressive. The one that everyone knows. If you don't know this, you're dumb. No. The one that's mentioned quite frequently and that we kind of see is that this Great Hall ceiling is bewitched to look like the outside sky.
I read it in Hogwarts.
In Hogwarts?
A history.
That pause always. I'm like, why are you pausing so long? Why are you pausing?
But I love it. It's like weird but
gets on my
perfect at the
nerves.
same time.
I don't understand. It always, I think, because as a kid it really confused me. I was like, is she trying to I thought she forgot the name of the book.
I think because she was like pausing because there's a colon there and she's like, Hogwarts, colon, a history.
But I would say like Hogwarts, a history.
I guess so,
but not
less
she's like,
huge
Hogwarts?
Pause.
And she also says it. Now we're just like critiquing Emma Watson's acting.
Yeah, I mean, let's not go there.
The way she says it the way she says it is as if she's saying Hogwarts a history, but just with the pause. If it was like Hogwarts, like the title is Hogwarts, the subtitle. Anyway.
Oh yeah, I know what you mean.
We don't need to discuss this.
I always liked it personally.
Well, okie dokie. We'll just have to agree to disagree.
Yeah.
Anyway. Another one that's mentioned quite a bit is that wizards and witches cannot apparate or disapparate to or from within Hogwarts. we see this happen in the second Fantastic Beasts movie, and everyone was really mad about it.
Is that when they operate onto the bridge?
Yeah,
I think
which
people they like argue that maybe in those days or still today, the boundaries are not there. Like they just operated on the edge of the boundary.
Still school grounds. Like surely you wouldn't be able to operate within where all the anti-Muggle charms are, you know?
Yeah. I think like that bridge, is that on is that on Hogwarts? Yeah, that is it's like literally in the building, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, it goes right up to the Great Hall in the later films.
Okay, yeah, never mind. But
It
maybe,
does look cool, though.
yeah, it does look
We
cool.
have to remember it's a movie, and
Yeah.
the sake of the movie is storytelling and characters and blah blah blah. But
Yeah.
mostly it's to entertain you, and it does look cool.
In my little
So,
headcanon
yeah.
is that, like, in the early days of Hogwarts, maybe the little bits behind that were not there in the building, and the boundary ended there. There you go.
Yeah, sure. Let's go with that. Yeah. Another bit of trivia is that there is supposedly a Chamber of Secrets which existed in the school.
I didn't know about that.
Yeah, that's I don't know. Maybe that's
Interesting.
the wiki being weird because
Yeah.
I've never heard of that before.
No.
Don't know. And then this is, I think I said earlier that the bit about Rowena Ravenclaw is one of my favourite bits of trivia. I think this is one of my favourite, possibly my favourite fact about Hogwarts, or just one of my favourites, and that is that Hogwarts is hidden to Muggles, so if a Muggle looks at it, they see an old ruin with a sign saying, "Danger, do not enter, unsafe." I think I love this so much because I want to like find some ruin in Scotland that says "Danger, do not enter, unsafe," and be like, "It's Hogwarts." Like it's another one of those things of making it more real, I guess.
Yeah, I agree. But at the same time, I am always like, surely there were like stupid teenagers who were like, oh, you know, just for a bet, like,
Yeah.
oh, go into that castle, looks so creepy, lol, ha ha ha. Let's light fires and
Yeah.
you know.
Well, if you're painting a very negative picture of my generation here, Elizabeth, I am indeed what you would call a teenager.
You know, it's so weird, right? I never ever saw you, and I don't know why, but I still don't see you as younger than me, which is I have to like, you know, remind myself sometimes. I'm like, you know,
But I am a child.
yeah, basically,
Yeah.
because I guess like as well, you're very mature for your age, and you always have been, in my opinion. Anyway.
Yeah. But I think that is a valid point that there would definitely be teenagers and just like everyone who would be like, oh, let's like there are people who as a hobby go and explore abandoned buildings and ruins.
And like there are stupid teenagers.
Yeah.
And usually in life, if you do something stupid, it's usually when you're a teenager. No
That's
offense.
Yeah.
But it's like, you know, lots of strange things are happening in life at that time. Like
Yeah.
your whole life is
And there's
being
less
turned upside
consequence,
down.
really.
Yeah, exactly as well. Like it's like, well, if the police call it, stop us. They're not going to do anything. They can't do anything.
Do you think though that
So-
even if someone went into Hogwarts grounds, do you think it's like
I think maybe
have you seen the Wonder Woman movie? I think we've talked about the Wonder. Have you seen?
I've
Wonder
seen
Woman?
it, but I might not.
Okay,
not
well, I was going to
remember.
say, do you think it's like when the guy... Oh, this is very... You probably won't remember. I was going to say when the guy goes to grab like the plane that crashed and like leans in, and then he leans into the kind of force field and sees the island, and then keeps like leaning out and leaning back in, and suddenly it's all revealed.
Oh
and...
yeah. I do know
Do you
that bit.
think it's like that where if you go into Hogwarts grounds suddenly you can see it all, or do you think it stays a ruin the whole time?
I think it's like gradual. So there's like imagine
Okay.
a circle around Hogwarts, and that's the barrier. Then there's another circle, and then that's like then if a Muggle like goes that way, goes into that bit past the initial barrier. So there's like 3 rings, right? The initial barrier is where Muggles are like seeing the castle and it says danger, unsafe. Then you go
Right.
to the next barrier, and I think then it would, you know, in the 4th book when they describe like oh, you know, if they stray too close to this place, Muggles will remember that they've suddenly got something to do or something. So they probably then have that. And then if a Muggle is so utterly determined to go there, I think then they will probably, I don't know, the magical community might like accept them, because it's like, well, you're smart enough to
True.
I don't know.
I forgot about that. Well, yeah, because I'm sure there are other protective charms on Hogwarts other than just like a kind of force field with a sign that says "Danger, don't enter."
Yeah,
and I forgot about the one at the Quidditch World Cup, right? Where it's like, oh, I left my oven on. Yeah, they've probably got that as well.
I am both listening to Swish and Flick going through Goblet of Fire right now, which is why I'm mentioning Hermione's spew thing a lot, and Goblet of Fire a lot. And Goblet of Fire is one of my top 3 favorite books of Harry Potter. I love that book. It's so good. Anyway, so I usually remember a lot from that book because I've reread it a lot. It's probably something like that.
Yeah. And then in
that was a long tangent.
Oh well. In 1792, when a cockatrice.
Oh, I always say cockatrice.
Oh man, what is it?
It's
a dog?
No. It's like
it sounds like a dog.
It does.
What is it?
Cockapoo or something.
Yeah.
It's like an insanely dangerous. Do you want me to get the Fantastic Beasts and I'll?
Oh, it's like a mythical creature.
I'll get it.
Okay, thanks.
It's not in Fantastic Beasts. It's probably because it's like a well-known. Well, not really, because you haven't. But you know, it's like a
two-legged dragon.
Yeah,
okay.
So it's like a It's
like a cockerel dragon.
With a cockerel's head.
That looks ridiculous.
Yeah, but it's like
it looks so stupid.
It does. Although the first,
but it's a dangerous animal.
I think it's odd because I seem to remember, you know, like the danger, like. I guess dangerometer in Fantastic Beasts is like 5x is the most dangerous, and then 1x is the least.
I feel like
it was like a 4 or 5x.
I don't know. I feel like if it was in Fantastic Beasts, I would have.
But I've literally flicked through the whole of C.
Are you looking at the illustrated edition?
No, I've got the.
Do you have the illustrated? Oh right.
Is this the illustrated? I mean, it has illustrations in it.
Oh, I don't think that is. But do you have the illustrated edition? Because you might have seen it in the illustrated edition. If that
no,
makes
I
sense.
don't. This is the only one I have. The only other editions of anything that I have is Beedle the Bard's one by Chris Riddell. I didn't even know there was an illustrated Fantastic Beasts.
It's really cool. It's not by Jim Kay, but it's some of the illustrations are super cool, and they've got a few new beasts in there.
You know who I would love to illustrate that? Who probably didn't? Is Tony DiTerlizzi. He is like one of my all-time. He did. Oh my gosh! The Field Guide, the Spiderwick Chronicles.
Oh yes, yes. Okay, I see.
If anyone listening, if you like fairy tale creatures of any kind, like he does elves, fairies, woodland, like tree bid type creatures, he is like one of the best illustrators for that kind of thing.
Yeah,
and the Field Guide is one of the most beautiful books I possess. It's incredible.
I didn't I don't recognise his name, but now that I've Googled him, yes, yeah.
Anyway, I'll get off my soapbox now. I really love that. So that's what a cockatrice is.
Okay, cool.
It's a cockerel dragon.
Cockerel dragon. Cool. So yeah, in 1792, a cockatrice went loose during one of the Triwizard Tournament tasks. The heads of the 3 schools, including one from Hogwarts, were injured by the deadly creature.
The mere fact that a cockatrice was one of the tasks baffles me. Like, why would they do that?
I mean, they had dragons.
But cockatrices are much more
Bigger.
dangerous than a dragon. Doesn't it have
Dangerous,
like special eyes that can turn you to stone or something?
Yeah, but that might be the like mythical version, whereas this is like the Harry Potter version.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
Well, I guess also it was longer ago, and they said that the Triwizard Tournament and the fourth one was like much safer, and they had dragons. So
yeah, true.
It's like it's not that unbelievable because
yeah, true.
Like, wizarding school must have been crazy back in the day.
I know. Anyway.
So then also another fact that makes me very sad, I actually think about this one a lot, is Muggle technology cannot be used within the grounds at Hogwarts. I think about this so much because I'm like, if I went to Hogwarts, I wouldn't be able to text like my parents.
Yeah, it seems so impractical. Like, do wizards not know about mobile phones? Like, they even use quills. Like, do they class pens as Muggle technology?
I have seen, I think it was like a Tumblr post of a Muggle-born coming to school and selling loads of biros to all the pure blood kids.
Yeah, for like 2 galleons a piece or something.
Yeah,
I would definitely do that.
Yeah, me too. Bash out the fine liners, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that fact it makes me sad, but it also, like, it makes sense, I understand.
I thought, like, is it, like, Slytherin doing that?
I thought that it said somewhere that it was just the pure volume of like magic would just kind of frazzle the like it just wouldn't work with so much magic flying around in the air. I thought that there was actually just a practical reason.
Okay.
I don't know where I'm getting that from. I think it's in the book somewhere. I'm not sure. But I feel like I remember it saying something about like there just being too much kind of going on, too much buzzing around that they tried to use.
But they use radios, right? Isn't radio a Muggle technology? Maybe they class that as wizard. I mean,
do they use radios at Hogwarts?
I mean, well, is it a movieism that when Harry gets into the room of requirement in the 7th movie, Colin / Nigel says, lightning has struck.
I have my copy of the Deathly Hallows right here.
Okay.
I think I've almost found it.
Okay.
Sorry. Fingers and loopholes. Neville's the man. Where is it? Potterwatch. Hey, here it is.
Hey!
So this is actually, if we're talking about radios, this is a nice little segue of, because people who only watch the films don't know about Potterwatch.
That's the genius of the name. I didn't remember. I did not do that on purpose, but it's quite cool.
Let me just read this little bit then. Tell us what you've been up to though, said Ernie. There have been so many rumours. We've been trying to keep up with you on Potterwatch. He pointed at the wireless. You didn't break into Gringotts. They did, said Neville. So basically, Potterwatch is the like secret underground radio that is like following Harry Potter as much as possible when he's on the run, finding all the Horcruxes. But yeah, no, you're right that in the book as well they have a wireless.
So is that
that's
like,
interesting. Maybe it's
like
wizarding.
Surely every time this happens in Harry Potter, wizards are like, oh, this is a big problem. Like, let's involve the Ministry kind of thing, where wizards have tampered with Muggle technology. And it's like, why haven't they done it with radio? Why is it suddenly okay with radio? Or did they invent their own kind of radio?
Right. I guess that, to me, that's the one that makes the most sense. Because in the film, the radios are like fancy looking radios, but I guess they kind of wizardify everything.
Yeah, they're like oldish
that would make most
kind
sense
of.
to me. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, or maybe it's one of the... Wow, yeah, that is odd. But maybe it's like because it's not kind of modern technology, I suppose. Like maybe it was... Because it had been around earlier, it had almost like grown accustomed, I want to say, to the magic.
Also, you think like 200 years on, wizards could start using old phones? That would
like
be cool.
Smartphones.
Yeah. And then all the muggles will have like smartphone contact lenses.
Yeah.
And wizards will still be using smartphones.
Yeah. Well, or maybe it's just because I don't really know how radios work, but it's more about picking up on frequency. Well, but then I'm not sure. I'm not sure about that one. I think that's just another one of those plot holes that just isn't really, It's such a boring answer, but I think that's just what it is.
Yeah. Oh well.
So the last thing on our list is that boys are not allowed in the girls' dormitories, and if they try to go up the stairs to the girls' dormitories, the staircase turns into a slide and they just slide right back down.
Do you think, like, in the Hufflepuff one, because it's like you go into the dormitories by crawling through a tunnel, or is it walking through a tunnel? I don't know. So, like, is it uphill and, like, is the tunnel stairs, or, like, do they just trust Hufflepuffs so much?
That's what I was going to say. Maybe it's only a Gryffindor thing, because Gryffindors are the ones who are going to be, like, Gryffindory and try and get into the girls' dormitories.
Well, then, like, that surely happens in all of the others. Like,
that's true,
but
on. Maybe, I mean, obviously this is already based on stereotypes in terms of boys and girls, but maybe...
Yeah, I mean, it's useless for everyone else.
Right.
Well, I mean, other than straight people.
Right,
well, other than people who are attracted to the opposite sex of themselves.
Yeah. And so I feel like it's almost maybe like the other founders kind of joking, being like, oh, Godric, you've got to make sure that you have something to, like, keep the boys out of the, maybe one of those kind of things.
I love seeing things like that, like in schools and stuff, when they just have not realised that gay people actually exist.
Yeah.
It's like, teenagers will find a way. Well, and not just teenagers, like, people will find a way. Yeah. Anyway.
I love all the kind of responses I've seen at various places, mostly Tumblr, of that line in Order of the Phoenix where Dolores Umbridge says something like, boys and girls are not permitted to be within, what is it, 8 inches?
Yeah, 8 inches, yeah.
And then it's like, yeah, all the gays at Hogwarts. It's free real estate. Yeah. That always makes me chuckle.
That's what I like about
I liked
the series that I talked to you about quite a long time ago, Mortal Engines. There's this lady who has lots of servants, and but she keeps all the boys and girls separate, so there's no, like, fraternising, for want of a better word. And then it says, like, but what she didn't realise was that, some boys like other boys and some girls like other girls. And I was like, oh, that's a nice, like, little touch there.
Yeah. I also like to imagine Dumbledore in his office, like, reading the decrees, like, ha ha ha. Yeah. Anyways, that's all we've got on Hogwarts history. So now... Cook.
I'd never heard that. We're talking a lot about Swish and Flick today. I've never heard that before, Swish and Flick.
For us, it was always, if you say Jinx, they can't talk until
for like 3 minutes
you say their name 3 times.
Yeah, that's the
And
one.
if they talk, you can punch them.
Yeah, that's the one. That was what it was for me when I was a kid.
Which seems much more fun, and probably a bit more British as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, now I'm going to be exploring the Marauders map in a different sort of way. Basically, I'm just going to be talking about the Hogwarts grounds and a little bit inside, but mostly the exterior of Hogwarts and the grounds, and a little bit of how it changes from book to film, but I think this is mostly going to be about kind of throughout the films, the evolution,
and probably
kind of our thoughts kind of sprinkled in, about how we imagined it in the book and what we think about the various versions of Hogwarts. Alright, so I feel like the obvious place to start is with Prisoner of Azkaban, because first 2 films, there are slight differences, but they're pretty similar, and Prisoner of Azkaban is where there were major changes and it kind of established the overall look of Hogwarts. I mean, I've mentioned this a good few times, but I love the third movie, and I think
me too.
What was done with Hogwarts in the third movie is just incredible and perfect.
Vast improvement.
Yes, absolutely.
And it actually looks like Scotland. Hooray!
Exactly. The main one being that it's not flat.
Yeah.
It doesn't look like some place in the Midlands.
Yeah.
It's very rocky and hilly, and there are cliffs and there are lakes, and it looks like Scotland. And because of this, the Hagrid's hut has moved. Although, in our document, I have not. It is not anymore Hagrid's hut. It is now Haggis's gut.
Which, in and of itself, is a conundrum. Because Haggis is stomach.
Guts. Yeah. We've been trying to. We saw that at the beginning, and we've been trying to hold it in.
Whole time.
Yeah. But yeah, I
Haggis's
just
gut.
need to take a moment to appreciate Haggis's gut. Whew.
Yeah.
Haggis's gut. But yeah, Haggis's gut has moved from just across from the entrance to Hogwarts, where it is in the first couple of films, just on the edge of the Forbidden Forest, to much lower down a little path, still by the Forbidden Forest.
Mm-hmm. Which is, like, I don't know if it's because I started reading the books after I watched the third movie, but that's how I imagined it. Like, after I watched the third movie, there was nothing about the first two in my head, like, in reference to the grounds.
Right.
Specifically.
Yeah, the kind of world building, I guess you could say, of the third film is incredible.
Phenomenal.
I personally imagined it more like the first two films, but just because when I was younger, all of Hogwarts, the grounds and everything was much more, I guess, simplistic, I suppose. It was very just like, oh, here's the castle, and oh, a hut has been mentioned, that's probably just over there, and the Quidditch pitch has been mentioned, that's probably just over there. Oh, now there are greenhouses, that's probably just around the, it was very just like simple and added stuff as it needed to be added.
Yeah.
Obviously now I've read them all, and I guess probably because I've watched the films way too many times, it's much more complicated than that, but when I first read it, it's very basic.
When you read something, do you kind of imagine it in your head as it's happening? Because so if say it says like, oh, they're now going to the Quidditch grounds, I have to like bring up like an imaginary map in my head, and I'm like, where are they right now? Where are they walking? Right. What's happening? And sometimes it really confuses me because like in the films, I have the film so much in my head that it doesn't show all of this in detail. So I'm like, damn it, I can't see it in my head, and I find it really hard to read it.
I like, kind of annoyingly, I don't have that at all with all books, and particularly with Harry Potter. I'm just like, oh, they're walking to the Quidditch pitch, so they're like walking. See, Hogwarts is probably about there. I wish
I could do that, because it gets in my way.
It's really annoying because I guess when you're reading it goes fine, but then when you're trying to like fit it all together, it's almost like, I don't know, I mean obviously you don't know The Shining very well because as we've said, you don't like horror films, but in The Shining, the set of I hate The Shining by the way, but I can get into that another time anyway. In the movie, the set is intentionally, like, it doesn't make sense. Like, he turns a corner where there should be a wall from previous scenes or that kind of thing.
To make it intentionally jarring.
Intentionally, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But that almost happens in my head because I haven't, like, pre-planned.
Sometimes that happens in my head, but often, if it says, like, oh, they're in this city, and then they move to this city, I'm like, well, how did they get there? Let's get the map up. And it makes it takes so much longer to read it. It's very frustrating sometimes.
I think because I have such bad ideas of like direction and geography, I almost like, it doesn't even bother me. And also I kind of, whenever I'm imagining a scene, there are loads of blank spaces, if that makes sense. It's like I can only see the area that the character is looking at currently, and if the character turns around, then suddenly I can see, I don't know if that makes sense.
No, it does.
I
it does
definitely
make sense.
imagine it in chunks.
Yeah. I do to a point as well. But
we both agree 100%. Haggis's gut is better from the third film onwards.
Oh yeah,
it's much better downhill.
Yeah. I like that they have to, like, in the third film, when they're kind of stomping down because it's so steep.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
And I like that it's more of like let's go visit Hagrid, rather than just like, let's walk 100 metres. Oh, sorry, Haggis.
Oh, Haggis, okay, yeah.
Haggis, yeah, sorry. Made a typo in my mind.
I know.
Haggis.
Who's Hagrid person?
I also like, because obviously in the first couple, Hagrid has some like stuff outside,
Mm.
but in the third one onwards he has more of a like vegetable patch.
Yeah,
And
that's
he has all the
definitely how I
pumpkins and
just
stuff.
imagined it in my head, because
Right.
it does, like, he has a pumpkin
Yeah,
patch.
he has a pumpkin patch, exactly.
Yeah.
And then also another thing I like about where Hagrid's hut is situated is the stone circle that's just on the top of the kind of cliff bit, looking down to
Oh, come and see the show!
Haggis's gut. you foul, loathsome, evil little cockroach. Hermione, no, it's not worth it.
I hate that. Hermione, no! It's not worth it.
Oh yeah.
Sorry, Rupert. I know you're listening, and I know you really care about my opinion.
About your opinion, yeah. So we're sorry if we offended you, but yeah.
Your line there wasn't the great.
But in fairness, you didn't write it, so it's okay.
Yeah.
We'll have to blame whoever wrote the third script. I'm actually not sure.
Yeah.
Oh well. But yeah, I really love that. Again, kind of. I mean, it's less of a stone circle, more of like a stone semicircle / like 3 standing stones. But the
Yeah.
whole standing stone concept, I guess, I really love, because again, it's very Scottish. Like, you have standing
Yeah, I was
circles
gonna
all around
say, it's
England,
really,
but it's much
like,
more of a Scottish
British. You see that a lot,
Mhm.
like, even in like Stonehenge, which is
Yeah,
obviously
yeah.
a very extreme example.
thing.
But you see,
Yeah, but like we have quite local like standing stones that we
Yeah.
can sometimes just like drive up and have a look at. Like, it's quite a common thing.
yeah,
And particularly more in Scotland. It really reminds me of, we've mentioned Brave before, but it really reminds me of Brave.
yeah. Oh,
Where it plays
in
big
that
role.
little like circle when they kind of
Yeah.
reveal that she's a bear. Well, that she's the queen, that the bear is the queen.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
love that movie. Anyway, sorry.
No,
We
it's
shouldn't talk
probably my
about
favourite. Anyway, yeah.
Brave.
But these stones, I believe they are removed by the last movie.
Yeah, you
which-
don't really see them a lot in
Yeah, I
any of
think-
the other movies, really.
No, not at all. And I think you see shots of that spot and they're just not there.
Yeah.
So they obviously made the intentional decision to get rid of them.
It's alright,
which is a bit
shame.
sad.
I don't know why I said it like
Yeah, and then also kind of in this, it's almost like this similar little area that's changed a lot in the third film. But you also have the clock tower, which is a new addition. Obviously, this is mostly for the motif of time that is obviously a big theme in the third
it's so
film and
good.
book. But it's like that shot where the
massive-
music in the background, and you have that shot moving through the clock,
Yeah.
and like seeing them running. It's so
so
cool.
good.
It's so good.
Yeah.
Oh, I love
and the
this
big
movie.
thump of like, gum.
Yeah, dong,
Gum.
dong. And when there's
Yeah.
that other shot of Harry standing there after they all go to Hogsmeade, and you've got the, what's it called? The little pendulum? No, what is it? Like, you know what I mean? The
Wait.
thing that...
I don't. I think pendulum.
Maybe it is pendulum. Yeah. The bit that swings under the clock, basically.
Yeah.
That, like, going side to side. Oh, it's so cool.
Yeah.
And then probably the coolest, most iconic addition to Hogwarts is the bridge.
Harry.
Obviously.
I'm scared for you. I'd like to note that whenever we go
just
on,
about
that whenever we go to the studio tour, so the bridge, they have a section of the bridge. Obviously, the whole bridge. They don't have it like on a hill in Scotland somewhere.
Yeah, yeah.
They just have a section of the bridge.
It's like, how long is it? Like 50, like 30 meters, maybe.
Yeah, I'd say
Maybe even like 20. It's not very long.
Yeah, it's not very long. I'd say, yeah, it probably takes about 10 seconds to walk
Yeah,
the whole.
if that. It's
Yeah.
really not very long.
Yeah, but so, or if you're really, really, really unlucky, they will have closed the bridge when
Yeah.
you're there. That happens very
First time I went,
rarely.
it was closed.
Yeah, I
and I
couldn't
didn't
believe
realise that
that.
it was usually open.
Yeah, I couldn't
was
believe it when you
distraught.
said.
Sorry.
But usually it's open, and every single time we go on it, Lucy stands there, and I go, Lucy, I'm scared for you. And we both do it. Like, it'll be one of us standing, And
Yeah.
like me standing and Lucy saying it, one of us will say it because you just have to. And it's like maybe 3 feet off the ground when you're on it,
Yeah.
but it's so scary to do that. I don't know whether you ever like feel how scary
Lean
it is
out.
like
Yeah,
leaning
yeah.
out, but because it's
It
kind
does-
of wonky,
Wonky,
it
yeah.
makes you
It
feel
feels quite
like you're
rickety.
being thrown off.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway,
Yeah. The bridge is just
so
really cool.
iconic, yeah.
It's one of the. It's just so cool. It's just so cool, isn't it?
And
It's
especially
just
in
pretty nice.
again in the third movie with the
The music and them running
yeah.
down it.
yeah,
And you've got
and
the
Harry and
conversation between.
Lupin.
Yeah, I was just gonna say you've got the conversation about his parents, which is one. There's a lot of. I mean, we'll get to this when we get to it. But in the third book, there's a lot of stuff about who the Marauders are,
yeah.
which is never really revealed in the films,
No.
and Harry's parents basically. And I like, even though there's not as much in the film, obviously just for time, really.
Yeah.
I like that there's that little moment between them on the bridge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
really
love
cool.
all the Harry Lupin moments. I love Lupin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the other kind of main change is the Whomping Willow has been moved, and also it looked quite different. Like I said with Hagrid's hut, I did when I was younger imagine it closer to the castle, just because
Well, when you're younger, you just
like
don't have the scope.
well, yeah, and like I said, it was like, oh, there needs to be a tree. Okay, I guess that can just be
Yeah,
plonked there.
I always imagined it really close, like
yeah.
maybe
And I
like
think-
2 feet away from the
Oh, I
wall.
didn't think it was that far. I was imagining like somewhere halfway between Hagrid's hut and the school, but like
Oh
not
no,
in
I
line
always
with them.
imagine like
wow.
you get past the herbology like greenhouse
Oh,
and
it's
then
right
it's
there.
there.
I guess it makes sense for it to be, but yeah, I think it does make sense for like a mental tree to be a little more out of reach
Yeah.
for students.
Yeah.
Like, I think it's crazy that it's still even
Then
there,
yeah.
or even that area of
It's been there since before you were born.
yeah. Well, or maybe it is actually off limits to students.
I don't know. I think maybe a lot of the
should be.
times it's kind of just chill.
That's true.
But like
yeah,
if a
unless
student
you, it's one of those
is
things like
stupid
if
enough
you
to go
Yeah.
close to it, it's like, excuse me, don't
Yeah.
come near me. And then if you like push it, it probably gets angrier and angrier and just
right.
whips you out. I don't know.
Right. Yeah. I do also like well, it's hard to say because I think the kind of like big thumping clubs of sorry, now I'm talking about the differences in the design of the Whomping Willow and Chamber of Secrets and Whomping Willow and Prisoner of Azkaban. I never clarified that, but I like the like Whomping Club type vibe of
Yeah.
of the second
Yeah.
film, but I like the clubs in the second one, but I just think it looks cooler in the third one.
I honestly don't see a lot of difference. I don't remember
Really?
it being different because it has that kind of trees look like that when you kind of take off a lot of the branches and then it has
Right.
like a lump and then the
and then all the
thin
bits
branches
growing
come
off it.
out of it.
That's true.
Yeah.
It does almost look like the same tree, like a year later.
Yeah, so I
But
didn't
it's
really
almost
notice much
just-
difference.
Right. Really?
Yeah.
Wow. I guess it's more like how the tree acts, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like in the first one, it's more like clubs.
And then in
smacking
the
kind of
third
thing.
one, it's like
It's
whipping.
like whipping.
Yeah.
Which I personally prefer.
I prefer
Well,
the whipping, I think.
the second one, I think, is
It
what I
works
imagined.
in each one.
Yeah, that's true. The second film, that's how I imagined it in the
Mm-hmm.
book. But I think for the sake of like pacing and for a film, it's
Mm-hmm.
fun to have a bit more kind of like. Although, you know what used to really bug me?
The Hermione
Now I'm
bit.
kind of over it. The bit where she grabs his t-shirt
Oh,
and it like
I'm
freezes
like-
and he like looks down and looks back up and looks shocked and then they fly off again.
That bit makes me cringe every single time. I'm like, that wouldn't happen. Like, she would
Yeah.
rip his t-shirt. He would not come up. Like, she
Yeah.
would not be that strong. She
Yeah.
would either rip his t-shirt if she was that strong, or her hand would be snagged away,
Yeah.
or she would fall off. There is no way
But it's
he
also
would come
just-
with her.
It's also that pause where
Yeah.
it used to really bug me. Now I think it's quite comical and funny. I don't mind it. But that
Yeah.
pause where he like is like, oh no. I
Oh, I
also,
don't
you know
like
what does,
that.
you know what does really bug me is when she's holding onto it and it whips around, then you see her feet, and then she goes like straight away
Oh
from
yeah,
the camera.
that's really
It
odd.
always feels a bit unnatural and just a bit strange.
Yeah, it is really odd.
Yeah. Also, but yeah, I do prefer the one in the third movie, and there's that shot where Harry and Hermione stood in front of it, and you have the silhouette of Hogwarts in the background, and
Yeah.
it just looks.
And he's
it just
telling
looks
her
cool.
about like Sirius inviting.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
that wasn't the shot I was talking about, but that as
Oh.
well, where you've got the Whomping Willow, and then you've got they're looking at Hogwarts, and there's the Whomping Willow behind them, and there's all the
Yeah.
action going on. It just for like blocking and
Yeah.
shot composition, it's just so much better.
What do you feel? How do you feel about the season changes with the Whomping Willow?
I personally think they're really fun, and I like them, and
I love them.
I like that it makes the Whomping Willow more of like a constant presence, I suppose.
Yeah, it's like a character.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And
I love the bit with the bird, and it's like
yeah, we do.
makes me laugh
And
every time.
I think it's a really fun way of showing, because sometimes, you know, like where you have, oh look, it's snowing, and like, oh look, leaves falling from the tree. It's like, okay, we get it, it's autumn.
Like,
I think
I
it's a
don't
fun way
like
of
it in
indicating time. Oh, and also, sorry, but also, it's just another example of that motif of time and time passing, and really emphasising and highlighting that time is passing. Sorry, I got
Yeah,
too
that's
excited about
true.
that one.
No, it's
I really
fine.
love
That is
all the references
true.
to time throughout the third film.
Yeah, the
I
soundtrack
personally
as well,
really
like
love the time travel. Yes. Oh,
John
I love it.
Williams. I always forget that
Although-
that soundtrack is John Williams because it
Yeah.
sounds so different.
Yeah,
And I
yeah.
think that kind of solidifies his talent because I
Yeah,
always like,
yeah.
oh, you know, you can always hear John Williams in everything
Mm-hmm.
he does. Like I hear, I can't remember what I was listening to, but I was listening. Oh, I was trying to play some Harry Potter on the piano,
Mm-hmm.
and I was like, Roman, you can hear Jurassic Park in this bit. Let me show you. And I played him a bit. I think it might be in. I think it's Nimbus 2000, the track. I can't remember. I don't play good piano, by the way. And I kind of played it slowly and awkwardly, and he was like, yes, Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
But the third movie soundtrack, the Prisoner of Azkaban soundtrack, is just so unlike anything he's ever done before. And I think it kind of... It really shows you what he can do if you show him a different film.
Right, yeah. I mean, maybe I can't pronounce his name, but I do really love Alfonso Cuarón. I really love him.
Yeah, me too.
But I think it's also partially his influence of like,
Yes.
I think he's a really incredible, interesting director.
Yeah, me too.
And I think he gave
He gave a lot to Harry, Ron and Hermione's characters as well.
Yeah. And also, I think everyone always says that he was like too weird of a filmmaker to do Harry Potter.
No, but I mean, the
Actually,
third
think
one is the weirdest
the
one
best.
out of the lot. Like in
Yes,
the books.
yeah, that's true. Yeah,
So
yeah.
you need
I think about that.
You need a whack
And
job
also,
to do
I
that.
feel I also feel like time travel. You need someone who's a bit
Yeah,
weird.
you need someone who's first off willing to do that, because that is like one of the awfulest things to do as a director. Time travel is just awful.
Yeah.
And someone who likes doing that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think as well, having him as a director took that kind of needed jump away from fun, goofy family movie.
Yes.
Like I feel like it was almost better to have that suddenly. Oh, it's serious now, rather than to have it like kind of weirdly
this is
transition
Harry Potter.
into.
Like this is not just your average run of the mill family movie.
Yeah.
This is like
It's dark and
changing
there's
generations level stuff. Yeah.
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 And
Anyway,
I just
we've just like made this episode about Hogwarts
That's
into
really
an auditory essay on why Prisoner of Azkaban is
yes.
the best.
When and if we get to Prisoner of Azkaban, like we might just have a whole episode of just like film review type just ranting about not even ranting.
Each episode is going to be so long because we'll just be like, oh, and this bit is so good, and this bit is so good.
It just is. It's the best film. If you don't agree, I understand because
I think
no one agrees.
in terms of specifically like filmography,
Right. The
I
third film,
don't think like as an adaptation and
yes.
like as a film on
As
the
a Harry Potter
whole,
film.
yeah, maybe it's not the strongest in like the Harry Potter series, as you say.
But I think the third film is the only film that I enjoy, regardless of it being a Harry Potter film.
Yeah, as just
like,
a film.
Right. Like, if I wasn't a Harry Potter fan at all, I never read the books, I feel like I would still love that movie.
Yes.
I think I've definitely talked about this before, but I just, it's just so good. Anyway, let's move on before we just... Anyway, yeah.
This second section is like the length of a whole episode in itself.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe we should have done Hogwarts Founders and Hogwarts, but oh well.
Yeah, never mind.
Yeah, but
it's a special
this
episode.
is the thing. It's yeah. What a treat.
You get to hear us waffle on.
Yeah, it's mostly just Prisoner of Azkaban, which, I mean, I'm not complaining.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've just got a couple of things to say about the inside, not too many, because I feel like the inside of Hogwarts, it doesn't matter that there's different stuff going on, because it's like...
No, I don't notice
it changes up. Yeah, exactly. Like, there are loads of rooms, you know.
And they show a lot more outdoors in the first two.
Yeah.
So you don't really, I don't feel like it really... you really notice a lot of change.
The one thing that I did want to mention, though, is that there is a new fat lady, and the fat lady is in a new location.
Is she?
Yeah.
I
she's,
never noticed that.
she's in the first couple, she's kind of like down a corridor a bit, like privately, I guess. In the third one, she's like right on one of the main staircases.
True, yeah, okay.
I think that in the first one, it makes more sense. Like, that's where I would imagine it, you know, a bit more privately. But I do love it being right on the stairwells, because you have that scene where they're all like running up the stairs, like chasing her around, and you've got all the people in the paintings like running around the kind of stairwell, I guess. Like it makes for a really cool scene. And I also love Dawn French. She is the fat lady.
I love her as the fat lady. She's a way better adaptation.
Yeah.
To the book Fat Lady.
She's a bit like cheeky and
yeah.
The first Fat Lady, she was just this old woman who, like, all she said was password, and like she just looked so boring.
Yeah. I mean, I guess she was like, "Ooh, I'll be mysterious."
Yeah.
But Dawn French, she was
like,
that, I'm friggin' Dawn French, like.
Yeah.
I'm gonna play myself. Thank you very much.
Yeah, exactly. Like that scene where she's, you know, that scene where she's trying to smash the. Where she's trying to smash the glass. I was like, that is my fat lady.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's just so perfect. And then the other thing I just wanted to mention, speaking of staircases, is that in the last film, the moving staircases seem to just kind of not exist. We've talked about the staircases a little bit before, mostly how boring they are in the film compared to the book. But yeah, I saw someone on Reddit who suggested that the moving staircases just not existing possibly was Snape's influence as headmaster, and he wanted things to be very like rigid and not as magical, I guess.
Because Dumbledore was all very like hee kind of.
It's the best way to describe it. Yeah. He definitely was like, oh, isn't it hilarious? All the first he's getting lost, and McGonagall's like, but Dumbledore, like, they're not going to be educated.
Yeah, he's like, oh well.
Yeah, but Snape, it's the logic of like, there is a right way, and like, so
I do like that kind of theory that like the castle reflects the headmaster.
Yeah,
that's cool.
Yeah, I like that as well, because you don't see any, as far as I can remember, in the last in like the Battle of Hogwarts in the film, you don't obviously. I mean, we'll possibly get to this, but the Battle of Hogwarts book to film is very different. In the book, it's way more playful.
Yeah,
you've got like Trelawney, you know, loads of stuff going on. But yeah, in the Battle of Hogwarts in the film, there aren't any portraits that you see, and it's all obviously much darker. Yeah. So yeah, I think that's an interesting idea of the castle reflecting who's there, who's headmaster. I just thought that was worth mentioning. And also you have things like offices and classrooms changing, like the potions room and transfiguration, all that kind of stuff. But that's the kind of thing that changes so much, and it's just, you know.
Yeah. I also like, you know, in the Battle of Hogwarts, where they have those kind of walkways that are kind of chained up, and they
Yes. Oh, I forgot about that.
yeah, when I imagined Hogwarts, when I read it, I imagined a lot of different kind of stairways, like some
Yeah,
wooden.
this is what we were mentioning before with the staircases.
Yeah,
is
yeah.
variation. That's
And I
what was really
like
missing
that
from the
kind
film.
of thing. Like, you see that a lot with the chains. It annoyed me at first, but I quite like it now because you see it a lot when a castle is restored.
Yeah.
And you kind of have like just a chunk of floor missing.
Right.
I kind of like that they reflect that in the Battle of Hogwarts, and I feel like as time goes on, Hogwarts is a incredibly old castle, and I like that bits of staircases will be taken from bits of like an old shipwreck here and there, or old metalwork from a window that was destroyed here and there and stuff. I feel like Hogwarts would be like almost like a patchwork quilt of a castle.
So then that's it for the kind of Marauders map. This time we're actually looking at what is on the Marauders map, and also I just wanted to mention, this is so unrelated and a weird thing to end on, but I just want to talk about Narnia.
Okay.
And the kind of I feel like a lot of people who like Harry Potter probably have read Narnia or at least watched the films.
I've never read Narnia.
But you've seen like the first film.
A long time ago.
Well, maybe you're not the best person to discuss this with, but there's a
just
kind
tell
of
me about it.
Yeah. There's a kind of not so much a fan theory, more of just a fun kind of little parallel sort of AU type thing of the 4 kids in Narnia being the 4 founders. So you've got Edmund as Slytherin, obviously. Peter as Gryffindor, of course, and then Lucy as Hufflepuff and Susan as Ravenclaw.
That's so cool.
And some of the time, those
like
colours are actually
Aslan
reflected.
with the I love that.
Yeah, I like it a lot. Obviously, it's not like a, but yeah, I just think it's a fun little thing to pick out.
Yeah,
and I like it a lot.
That is really coll. I obviously never made the connection before because
right. I'm just gonna look at what the titles of them are, because I know it's like some on the Just, some on the Magnificent. I just want to see if they're
like it picks out their main characteristics.
Right. I just want to see.
I'm very excited. I feel like all of my favorite characters from things are really random. Like my favorite character from Narnia was Aslan. And like my favourite character in Doctor Who is TARDIS. And I refuse to call her the TARDIS because she is not an object.
Oh, okay. So,
is it lamer than you thought it would?
Wait, no. This isn't the right way round. They've messed them up. They've got it the wrong way around, definitely. Okay, I think I found it. I'll just read through them. They don't really work, but I'll just read them anyway. So Peter is King Peter the Magnificent. Susan is Queen Susan the Gentle. Edmund is... Oh, it doesn't have Edmund.
That's kind of fitting for Slytherin.
Yeah.
But we'll just kind of gloss over that.
Lucy is Lucy the Valiant. So it doesn't really make sense.
It's like
but I feel like if
Gryffindor.
Yeah, but I feel like that's just one of those kings and queens things of like you just give them very like brave, like courageous names, you know.
King Fred
but if
Fearless.
If I had to sort them though, I've seen debate about this, but I don't understand how anyone can put them into houses other than like Peter Gryffindor, Edmund Slytherin, Susan Ravenclaw.
I barely remember the film, and even I agree with that.
Yeah. Because Edmund's the one who like sneaks off to try and save himself the whole
Yeah.
time.
Mm-hmm.
Lucy's the one who's crying over animals and trying to save them.
Mhm.
Susan's the one that's like, guys, come on, can we just like
Yeah, she's
go
like,
back?
yeah, the sensible
Yeah.
one.
And Peter's the one with the hero complex.
Yeah.
He's supposed to be the Harry of the Pevensies.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, it's a weird place to end it, but I just thought that would be a nice little thing
It's
to
quite cool.
Yeah.
It's quite cool.
Yeah. Well, I guess that concludes our special episode of Potterwatch from Page to Screen. I hope you enjoyed, and just a reminder that every 7th episode will be a special episode. If you have any suggestions of topics you want us to cover,
Yes,
let us know.
Please comment, email, private
Instagram,
message our Instagram, Facebook. Yeah.
Yeah.
All the
if you'd
links
like
will be in
to
the
give
description.
Suggestions, yes.
Yeah. Okay. Keep twiddling those dials. Keep each other safe. Keep faith.
Good
night. I don't know why I always get the giggles just before we start.
I don't know, I was going to say like, Helga Hufflepuff's house is Hufflepuff, and I was like, that's so stupid, I don't need to say that.
No. I feel like my laughter sounds so weird because I have to kind of hold back because I'm worried that Matilda will hear it. Yeah, sorry, I just saw Haggis's gut.
Wait, no, we have to save it, please,
Sorry.
come on.
Sorry.
Save it. There's someone like, I think there's someone like what's it called? Wait, like parachuting.
Paragliding?
I guess so.
What?
Whoa.